You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, we are at the eve of the 2026 Democratic primary elections in Pennsylvania. And I am excited because I'm ready for this election to be over. Okay. I am ready to just get on with it. You know, I have to say this has been a very daunting election season. And really all of the energy is really focused on one particular race. I haven't seen an election cycle be so zeroed in on one race, and that is the 3rd congressional race right here in Pennsylvania. It is daunting for anyone who's been in Maryland, other parts of Pennsylvania, New York, DC, the whole US. It feels like all eyes is on this damn race, okay? I'm going to reserve all my thoughts later on the show, but I just want to say, hurry up and lose already. And someone's going to win. It's really between 3 candidates, as you all know. Sharif Street, who's a state senator, Chris Rapp, who's a state rep, and Dr. Ayla Stanford, who is a first-time candidate. One of those 3 are going to win. And whoever that person is, you know, whoever he will be, whoever one of the 3 will be, Freudian slip, I suppose, it will be. And yes, I'm going to give you all this now. There will be a special edition episode because, I know. There will be a special edition episode. And before I even get into all the other things, let me just put this on the table because this weekend I dropped some big news. Tuesday night, May 19th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS Philadelphia, okay? There is going to be a live show with myself and the legendary anchor, Natasha Brown. We are going to be doing live election night coverage, okay? Yes. And if you are all over, it's going to be online, so you can watch it, you can stream it. We're gonna put it on the internet. If you're not in Philadelphia, you can watch it on TV or whatever. Don't worry, you can watch it. It's gonna be streaming online. So no matter where you are, you have to adjust your clock. So if or you're where in Houston, you gotta set it back an hour. So that will be 8:30 Eastern Standard. Yes, because we're an hour forward. So you got to go back, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And then my West Coast folks, 3 hours, 5:30. No, 6:30. 6:30 your time if you're in the West Coast. So all my folks in LA and everything. But it will be at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So all my New York folks, DC people, everybody else, 9:30. Super late. But the results will be in, and it will be a 30-minute episode. It'll be live. I'll be at the studio in person, looking all stylish. Got to get that haircut earlier that day. And we're going to talk about the election results. We're going to, do some analysis and commentary. It's going to be a great show. And I will be on TV. So, gonna see me, doing my big one. I love a good election. I love a good special. So I will be giving my thoughts on the candidates and, what I thought, what are the predictions, all the things. I do have a prediction about this race, but I'm going to share that later in the episode. I'm not going to spill all that now because, this segment is normally about what's going on. But I couldn't help but just say it's almost done, y'all. Like, we're less than 24 hours away. We're less than 24 hours away. Go to the polls, vote responsibly, vote. Okay. Just want to put that out there. We'll talk more about that later in the show, but I just want to say all that. Now, outside of this chaotic political season, I'm so excited. Graduations. Oh my goodness. Graduations are here. One of my besties, both of my besties have now gotten advanced degrees. More. Dr. Lauren Footman, which she already had her master's. Now she just got her doctorate from St. Joe's. She got her master's at Penn. She got her bachelor's at Bryn Mawr. Now she has the triple crown. She's got the bachelor's, she's got the master's, now she's got the doctorate. So Dr. Footman just graduated this past weekend, and it was fabulous. I was able to go to her graduation dinner, which was fabulous. It was at the Prime Rib. Mr. Johnson and I went. It was a fabulous dinner. I keep saying fabulous because it was just, that's really what it was. It was just elegant. It was just a really great time. It was family. It was friends. We had a private room. We had like a whole 3-course dinner, champagne toast. And she's the hostess with the mostest because we didn't pay a dime. We just went. That's how you throw a party, okay? Not to say that other people who throw their parties, I'm just saying that classy. Just, people be throwing parties and I'm just saying, if you're going to throw a party, host. Especially if you're going to do a graduation. But my friend, my bestie, Dr. Footman, is having a lovely season, and I'm very happy for her. And she just makes it happen. Like, she's been working as an executive director for a couple years and doing everything. Like, she didn't just take a break. She was in school while working, while making it all happen. And I'm just super impressed and just proud of her. So shout out to you, Lawrence. Shout out to you, Dr. Footman. So all these doctors, Dr. Geo, Dr. Parks, Dr. Footman. Yes. And before y'all start, no, I'm going to be Mr. Owens, okay? I told them, I said, listen, they were telling me at the table, just like, are you thinking about, no, you're not, no. I told all my friends, listen, I could do a lot of things, or some people in their religious base, you could do all things through Christ. Listen, I'm not that person. I have a special, utmost respect to anybody who goes to a doctoral program of any caliber, because the commitment, the dedication, I seen it. I don't have it in me. I don't. That's not my gift. Listen, I think I would love how to sing. I can sing a little bit. No, I'm joking. No, I know my talents. That is not my talent. Listen, I love going to school. I love learning, but I don't love learning that much. I don't. I just know the work that they have to do. Like, if people actually understood how rigorous it is to get a doctorate in any field, I don't care which one it is, whether it's in comms, education, chemistry, whatever it is, it's a lot of damn work. And I don't have the patience. Even writing a book, I hear they have to do dissertations, listen, and then do that, then study, then comprehensive exams. No. Listen, the master's program was already enough. And I did that during the pandemic when I literally was in the house trapped. Now that I'm back outside, I couldn't even imagine putting myself through school. I don't, listen, you just know yourself. You know your limits. I think it's like some people have the what I call the degree bug, because my next person who I'm about to shout out, my other bestie, Abel, he just got his JD at Columbia. He triple crown, but in a different way. 3 Ivy degrees, and this guy is not even 35 yet. I mean, he's like early 30s. He got his bachelor's at Penn, which is where we first met, his master's at Harvard in education, and he just got his, law degree from Columbia University. So 3 Ivies. Three. He's just like, and then just got married in India. Going to have the U.S. wedding in October, which we're all looking forward to going and all that jazz. But like, again, like law degree. And I said, listen, you just getting the degrees like rings. Like, it's just like, listen, me, Mr. Johnson, even Mr. Johnson, we was both talking about, we said we stopping at masters. We cannot go back to school. We just don't have it in us to go back. So all of my people that go back to school, I have the utmost respect, especially if it's like your third time. Like you going into another program to do another thing. You got it. I love it for you. I'm happy. I think to pursue education at that level is a godsend and nothing to sneeze on. So when people just run around here telling people you should go back to, don't do that. That is not something you can just pick up and do. That you have to have a certain level of patience. And shout out to their lovers, fiancés, wives, husbands, boos, side joints. Anybody who is with these people, I hate the word partner. Y'all know I don't use that word. But to all of their significant others who are with them on those journeys, listen, my hat goes off to you all because it is not easy. It is not easy. I can imagine the long nights of them somewhere on a laptop and you still up? Listen. But no, I'm super proud. I'm super proud of them. And yeah. So it was funny because Abel's 10-year college reunion, we're growing up. 10 years? 10 years? His 10-year reunion was also this weekend. And so I did not crash this year's reunion at Penn. I've heard mixed reviews. To all my fellow Quakers, I don't know what Penn is doing with these reunions. It wasn't my team. I'm class of 2014, so they didn't play around with us. But I feel like the years after, it's been a mixed bag. I've been hearing about these reunions. Did I crash reunion last year? I did crash the reunion last year. That was 2015's reunion. Yeah, I did crash that one. I didn't crash this year's. It just, the campus has been different. I feel like ever since Amy Gutman has left, it's never been the same. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but ever since Dr. Amy Gutman, my forever president of Penn, like when I think of Penn, I think Amy Gutman. I don't know about the rest of them, okay? But ever since Amy Gutman has no longer been president, I feel like Penn has been in this flop era for more reasons than one. I still go, I go when I go, but it don't hit the same. And this year, I think they were being really cheap. They was cutting some corners. A lot of events that they normally have, they didn't have. It was just getting real funny this year. And so I feel like they're going to come back with a swing next year because I think a lot of folks were just kind of underwhelmed from what I heard. I didn't go, but I got my folks out there was telling me, it's like, it was all right. Drink tickets? We're doing drink tickets at a reunion? Drink tickets? What at an Ivy League school? I was like, drink tickets? What does this look like? I heard there was drink tickets. We don't do drink tickets at Penn. What do you think? I'm not going to even name a school. I was shook. I was surprised when I heard this. Hmm. I don't know what's going on. The donors think the donor. Look, we know who our alum is. What, Elon Musk not cutting? Let me stop. We don't really want no more Elon Musk checks, but damn it, I'm just saying, like, we don't got who got some money? Who got some good money? Who got some clean money? I don't know. I heard that there was a big donor recently who just made a big multi-million-dollar donation to help. Was it 80 million or 20 million? I think it was $20 million they donated or something so they can make Penn more affordable. That is wonderful. Let me just say that is great. But let me also just say, can somebody put some, John Legend, now you got some money. Can we fix this hospitality aspect? Because no one is going to spend over $100 for their reunion and come with some drink tickets. Y'all better get that together. Because I will not be coming to the 15th in the next couple years if it's drink tickets. As if it matters for me. I heard that, I gagged. I clutched my pearls. Mr. Johnson's 10-year reunion is next year. And Abel's wife, she went to Penn. They met they went to Penn around the same time, but they met. Am I spilling too much tea? Well, they married now. They met on a dating app in New York. They didn't meet on campus as a couple. But her reunion is next year. Her and Mr. Johnson went to school at the same time. So Abel's wife. Yes, Abel's wife. That's crazy. Like, what? We all married now. Abel's wife went to Penn the same year that Mr. Johnson did. They both went the same time. So their reunion, their 10-year reunion is next year. So both Abel and I will be there because they don't like anybody. We don't really like. We're gonna all be there next year. We'll all be there next year. So I'm just hoping Penn figure out what they're doing next year because this is wild to me. This is wild. When I heard that, I said, "What? These are first world problems." And you all know the white leftists are not going to give me a break. They're going to say, look at him, $1 billion class. You know, the white leftists are going to have a field day hearing that. They're going to say, can you believe what that black bourgeoisie Ernest said, you know, on his podcast? He's complaining about drink tickets at a $1 billion institution using fossil fuels. Listen, okay, all right. And what does your parents do for a living? I'll wait. Because your ass is probably, listen. All right. I'm happy for these graduations. Kudos to both of them. Kudos to the reunions. I was so happy to be able to celebrate them. We went to Super Frole. That's where we went. Abel and I and Mr. Johnson. We went to Super Frole in Center City. The weather was weathering this weekend. It was some good weather on Saturday. Some good weather, okay? Let me just say that the weather was nice outside. It was so nice that I caught somebody with a mistress downtown in Center City. I'm not naming names, but I was like, ooh. In broad daylight. I said, now, I mean, listen, let me mind my business. Listen, nowadays, people, the weather was so nice, the people was out in the streets. But yes, it's a lot. And graduation season is going to continue. I'm going to be in Baltimore later on Monday. Another one of our good friends, Mr. Johnson and I, one of his best friends, Amber, who we both know, she was one of the groomswomen in on his side of the wedding. She's getting her doctorate at Johns Hopkins. Now, this might sound familiar because last year, he got his master's at Johns Hopkins, which was in Baltimore. And we know Dr. Parks and Joe live in Baltimore. So we're all going to be in Baltimore. I won't be able to stay for both days. So there's going to be we're going to be there all Monday, and then Tuesday. But I got to get my ass on a train early on Tuesday for election day. Because I got a lot doing on election day. So I got my work cut out for me. But you all know this election, you know, this recent episode of On the Record with Ernest on 96.1 FM, 900 AM Progressive Black Talk Media. We had a really good special guest. Okay, I'm going to talk about that special guest later on the show, but we had a special guest and the tea was hot. We love a good show. And every time I bring this special guest, it always gets, you know, the show gets loose. So, yeah, Tuesday's going to be crazy, but I'm going to miss that graduation dinner in Baltimore. But I'm going to get a chance to hang out with Dr. Parks and friends on Monday, you know, making plans. I want to know what she thinks about this new Drake album. She's been off Drake. She used to be a big Drake fan, a super Drake fan, many, many years ago. But I finally got her off that whole fandom. But I digress. But yes, graduation season is here across the board. So we went to Super Frole. I want to talk about that real quick, that restaurant. It's a wine bar, but there's food there. Fun. I haven't been in years, but checked it out. It's cute. I haven't been in a while, but if you're looking to go somewhere for wine, and not just like the conventional bottle up wine, but like wine that got that, you know, it's the wines you know, different unique funks and tastes and vibes, they're good. They're really good. And I knew this already, but I hadn't been there in a while. It's one of those places where it's a great spot. It's a great wine bar. A lot of people all across the country talk about it, write about it. It nothing like that. But, you know, the food is good too. The food is good. They are more on that small plate side of things. and very like the dishes are not like, but it's more about the wine. But they do a good job of having a good kitchen and do serve good food that pair with the wine. But it's one of those places where it's not like you run to it. It's not like you book a reservation. It's kind of like you kind of like fall into it. You kind of like, okay, well, you should make a reservation. Let me say it now with this weather being nice. But it's one of those places where you just kind of like you have to be in a mood for that, or you have to just know. And Abel likes wine, so it was easy for us to go and make plans and make a reservation. But it's a it's an acquired taste, but it's good. It was good. The wine was good. The food is good, but you have to be committed to drinking. And for me, because I don't live in that area, it's in Center City. You better go in there and be drinking. Like, you don't go in there and just be like, I'm going to go all the way down from West Philly down here for one glass of wine. No, you better have at least 3 glasses. And that's exactly what we did. But I will say this, those are not no cute little wine glasses, no $12 glasses. These glasses are like $20 a glass, 17, but the wine is like, but this is for people that understand wine. Like, you don't just go there on some, I like wine, give me happy hour wine. You don't know the difference between that ain't for you. This is not for you. This is for real wine connoisseurs and folks that really appreciate, okay, the art of a wine grape. And if that's not you, I'm telling you right now, it's okay. Don't make yourself go here. Don't go, oh, I like wine with cheese. Don't play yourself. Because you're not going to, because I'm going to say this, I'm dead ass. When I went here, the first time I went, which is like years ago, I think it's like right around the time they had opened, I went with a friend, and one of my friends was just like, oh, I don't get it. I'm like, you don't get it? Stop drinking. Don't keep drinking this wine. Don't play yourself, because I don't want you to, just be drinking things and spending like all this money. Like, you don't know what keep it cute. Because they do also have cocktails. They don't just have one, they have cocktails. I was like, I don't want you to drop $25 on a glass of this wine, be annoyed and frustrated, and say to yourself, you could have had a martini. Get you a martini, girl. Don't waste your time. Don't even play with this wine. Now, myself, I love red wine. I am a red wine girl. I love red wine. And so I tried different Pinot Noirs. We don't even play with Merlot. We don't even do Merlot. We serious. We Pinot Noir. We're Gamay. We're doing it all over here. So I had about 3 red glasses of three different reds. I know I did Pinot Noir. I'm always going to try that. I did a Cabernet and I did a Gamay. Yeah, I think those were 3 I did. But they were very special. Like, this was like limited bottles and reserve bottles, and this place come from there. Like, I was all into that. Like, oh, is it let me try this California, Lodi wine. Oh, is this Italian? Ooh, let's try that. So it was like, I was having fun. She was enjoying the cocktails. They do have some great cocktails there, but very much on the, not the type that I normally drink. See, when it comes to cocktails, I'm a little silly with my cocktails. Like, I'm like fun and fruity and flirty, and I need it in a martini glass. So I always get a Cosmo. And if I can't get a martini glass, put it in a coupe. That's fine. But highball glass cocktails, no. The with a bunch of ice, no. Unless it's open bar. Open bar, I don't care. Give me anything. But I like a very chilled, fruity, fun, colorful cocktail in a martini glass. Like, give me a lychee martini. Give me a good Cosmo. Lemon drop, I'm definitely grown. I don't really want a lemon drop. Unless, okay, maybe a lavender lemon drop. But like, I don't really need, I want, somebody had a strawberry lemon drop today. Like, lemon drops I'm too grown. I need a little bit more elegance, right? So like a cucumber martini, lychee martini, a Clover Club, in a coupe is fine. Definitely a Cosmo, can never go wrong with that. But I like fun drinks and martini glasses. Yes, fruity cocktails and martini glasses, that's me all day. Let's get creative with it. Let's give me a fun, something with some watermelon pucker. I don't care. Like, I like fun, fruity, boozy cocktails. Always. I don't, that is my thing. That is my thing. So yeah, lemon drops, not a lemon drop person. not against one. I mean, if it's free, I'll do it. But like, that's my thing. But Super 4LA don't have that. They typically stick with the Negronis and things like that. But no, it was a good time. It was a very good fun time. I highly recommend it for those who are wine connoisseurs. Go there. I would say I think it's like the best. Well, I won't say it's the best. It's one of the best wine bars in the city. It's one of the best wine bars in the city. Also, I also hung out with my bestie Jamarcus. We went to go see Chicago, the musical, at the Forest Theater, which is really nice, very intimate theater. Chicago, as you all know, is my all-time favorite musical. It never gets old. I saw it, laughed, got my life, knew every song, every lyric. Like I did the show in high school, like nearly 20 years ago. Oh my God. Nearly 20 years ago. Was it 26? It was in 2006. Yes, it was my freshman year, first semester, because I was listening to B-Day. I was so gay. I wasn't out yet. I was not out yet. I wasn't out to my family yet. I was clearly out to myself. Um, it was B-Day because B-Day came out on September. Shit, yes, it came out on Beyonce's 25th birthday. It was September 4th. That's why it was called B-Day, her 25th birthday. Shit, she's turning 45 and I'm turning 35. I was 15 years old that year. Oh my God, I was 14 when the album came out, but didn't turn 15 the month. Oh shit, time flies, don't it? That was 20 years ago. Oh my God. Yes, we were doing Chicago, the high school, we was doing it in high school 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And here I am. Goddamn. Yeah, and that's when I got exposed to the music. I saw the movie many years prior, but the musical, I just fell in love with it, doing the actual musical in high school. And it was the first musical I worked on in high school. Yeah. I was in production. I was doing costumes and makeup. Yeah. And I had my girlfriend, well, wasn't my first girlfriend, but like my last girlfriend for sure. That was my last girlfriend because that's when I met. Yep, that was my last girlfriend. Yeah, we was working on the show together. Her name was Heather. She was black. And her name was let me clarify. Her name was Heather. She was black with some Filipino. She's like black and Filipino. Because that was the whole thing. They was always like teasing her saying she was related to Tiger Woods. She was not related to Tiger Woods, but you know, we were politically incorrect. This was 2006. But yeah, because she was working production with me. She was the stage manager. I worked under her. She was a sophomore. I was a freshman. Yeah. It was during that production that I met a guy. Well, he was a principal singer. And then, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot going on. That was 20 years ago. I've been gay for 20 years. Well, yeah. Not 20 years, but a lot happened my freshman year in high school. I'm thinking about all of this now, like, oh shit. Oh wow, all the memories. But I fell in love with that musical and it stuck with me. It stuck with me ever since. And I've seen it on Broadway. I've seen it multiple iterations of it. But this version was really fun. Great show. It was great to see with my bestie, and we had a great time. Before we went to see Chicago, we went to Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse for happy hour. Y'all, I get it now. I know I haven't been there for happy hour, but they got a new thing there called shucked, fried, tossed, and stirred. Basically, I know that sounds weird, right? I may not have the order correct, but it's called shucked, fried, tossed, and stirred. These are not the ways in which I describe my bedroom action, but this is what this special happy hour like experience they have. For $40, you get a Caesar salad, truffle fries, oysters, and the choice of a martini, like an actual martini, like a Tito's vodka martini or gin martini, Bombay martini, or their signature VIP cocktail, which is in a martini glass, which is a vodka citrus infused vodka based martini cocktail. So you know I got the VIP. That's what this all come full circle. The VIP. It's delicious. They use New Amsterdam vodka. That is a tangerine New Amsterdam vodka, but they infuse it in pineapple for like 2 weeks, and that's how it gets this really infused flavor. And it's the bomb. It's one of my favorite cocktails in the city. But that VIP at Del Frisco's, what my girl Cardi B said, she said that Don Julio will do the trick every time. Well, not no Don Julio over here, not even Don Julio over here, but that VIP martini do the trick every time. I love that drink. So we, of course, my bestie Jamarcus, he's an extra dirty martini drinker. I don't know where he got this taste. It's been a year. It's been a thing. It used to drive me crazy because I was like, who are you? But but he really likes them. I don't know if I should be concerned that he's drinking martinis. Like, I'm like, what? I can't do it. I cannot do a martini. I don't care if it's dirty. I don't care if it's whatever. I can't get into them. And I feel like the more I'm around him, I'm going to end up doing it. But I'm just like avoiding it because I can't do the Olive Bryant. Like I'm trying not to. But it's like the whole, everybody has this whole obsession with dirty martinis. And I'm just kind of like, y'all, I like the VIP martini, okay? And the VIP is my flow. It's got the, fruitiness. It has the smoothness. It's what I like, I'm not judging the other people slightly, but I just think if I want to have, how do I put this? A olive vodka contraction, I would just sip on olive oil. I don't know. I can't get into it. But who knows? Like if I was to do a martini, I would not do it with Olive Bryant. I wouldn't do a dirty martini. I would probably do like the vodka, the vermouth, and a lemon twist or something, or orange twist or something. I would just do it like that and just drink it like that. And maybe a little squeeze of grapefruit juice or something. I don't know, but I won't. I'm not going to even. Yeah, I'll do it like that. I'll sip it. I'll take it light. But something like that, I know that's gonna get me. That's gonna send me down somewhere. I don't necessarily know if I want to get like that. That's heavy. That's heavy. I love my liver. I do. I love my liver. But this package, right, that we had at the happy hour, this shucked, fried, tossed, stirred situation was $40 and it was genius. I think it was a smart happy hour for a place like that, offering a deal like that. It was cute. We had some other bites that was on the menu as well. They had this really good, like wagyu, um, like banh mi type of slider that was real like citrus marinated wagyu with the cilantro and the cucumber and the whole thing. Like it had that Vietnamese like flavor profile, but it was done with a wagyu slider that was really juicy and really done well. And they also had a wagyu hot dog. Like I don't know what it was with wagyu. Everyone likes that word. That's their word. Um, every time I think about wagyu, I think of Joe because Joe's like really impressed by that. So every time I hear the word wagyu, I see on the menu, I think of him because he's a sucker for that stuff. When I think of marketing, like things, I think of people like him. I'm like, they're advertising to a guy like him that's going to see that and go, I want to try that. And I get it. And it's a thing, but I I think of him sometimes. But I wonder, like, all of that name branding on the menu is the draw trying to get to selling and hyper marketing, stuff like that, you know? So that's something that's really big to me, like making sure, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm going, okay, what's that? So yeah, but yeah, happy hour at a place like Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse is so worth it. And I haven't been in a while. Like I haven't been, and this is all connected to the PBJ Me Professional Awards, which was on Friday, which was fabulous, and it was a great event. Always at Del Frisco's. This is our fifth annual event. It was a wonderful celebration. I cannot wait for all the photos to come out. This year I let the professional photographers do their thing. I always do this thing where I take everything on my cell phone and then the professional photos come. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to let the professional photographers do their thing. I'm going to, when the photos come out, I'll do the big drop. I'm going to let us do his thing. Because sometimes I feel like, oh, I got to post, I got to post. I was like, nah, we got a photographer. I'm going to let the photographer do their thing. I did not use my phone too much. I did a couple of little selfies and things, but I made it a point to utilize our incredible photography team, which are super dope. Karan and his wonderful folks, they do their big ones at all the events. And I'm just like, I'm going to let the pros do what they do best. He has a really great photography group, an organization that do the work, creative agency. They do great photography. They've been doing this stuff for us for years. And, he's the creative director, DVS and Co. Yes. Great group. Utilize them. Black photographers, they matter. It was a great event. We had some wonderful surprise guests. We had the Honorable Blondell Reynolds Brown, former city council member, former Mayor Michael Nutter popped on by. Some people caught him, some people didn't. Honorees, of course, Taib Smith, who was honored, Michael Nunez, Dr. Robin Smith. Oh, she was incredible. Ron Holloman, Teresa Lundy. We also had some other surprises. State Representative Andre D. Carroll, State Rep Ben Waxman. We had the elected officials in the House. We had a great group of just incredible folks that were like, had great stories, great speeches. My table was popping. Shout out to all my folks who came through. My bestie, Madam Chairwoman, Sharon Cooks, who was the MC with me. My girl Charnay, of course, the Lip Brothers all came. Josh, George, Marcus, Mr. Johnson, of course. My brother came, which was great. Morgan Parrish from Fox 29, she was at the president's table. She was at my table. And everybody who just showed up and showed love. Laura was there. Chris Bartlett was there. It was just a lot of great people. My board was, of course, in full attendance. And we were just a really united front. Everyone was there. CCP, oh my goodness, CCP came, had a whole table. They showed up. Dr. Marshall, everybody. It's a great time. It was a great time. And I was very happy to announce officially that the second annual Emerging Media Diversity Convention is coming back. This year, it is going to be the first weekend of October, which is October 2nd through October 3rd. So last year was late September. This year, we're like, nope, we're taking over the first weekend of October. So CBC weekend, all the, Fall Fest, all that stuff. We're going to take over the first weekend of October, October 2nd through 3rd. We're back at CCP. If you missed it last year, don't worry. We're back again, bigger, brighter than ever. Lots of great events, lots of great opportunities. We're going to have the Job Expo. We're going to have photography. We're going to have food. We're going to have all the things. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have a lot of panelists, speakers. We're going to bring back some of the ones that people really loved from last year. We're going to bring back we're going to bring some new people. It's going to be great. It's going to be a really fun time. I am super excited about this year. There's so much I learned from doing the event last year as a producer. And I'm never hard on myself. I'm always the type that's like, I want to kick the ball. That was the theme of this week. Like I was talking to some of my friends who are like, folks, you mentor and people and they're like figuring out what they want to do in their careers. And the big theme I kept telling different people throughout this weekend was like, don't overthink everything. Sometimes it's important to look at opportunity, seize the moment, see where it go. And I just say kick the ball. Like, when you're playing like kickball in high school or in middle school, I think it was middle school we did kickball, but it was like, I remember being in the line and I would see people who would just think very long, like taking forever to go, if I do this, would it hit? And sometimes you just have to do it. You just have to see where it lands. If it don't work, it don't work. But if it do, it do. But don't spend so much time overthinking the kick because sometimes you're going to burn people out. They're going to get exhausted with you. They're going to get tired. And it's not to say that you can't prepare, but at some point, I think sometimes people over prepare. And over preparing, I think, is a sign, like even when people procrastinate, right? I think it is a sign of um anxiousness. I think it's rooted in anxiety. I think some people, when they over prepare or when they procrastinate, these are actually symptoms of anxiety versus them being strategic. It's like you're either unsure or you're nervous, and rather than just name that, you're trying to create 1,000 excuses. At some point, you can do so much fucking outlining, and then you just have to do the damn thing. And I learned at a very young age because when I was, in high school, whatever, I would have this habit where I would just do this over preparation to the point where it was like very tedious. Like I'll do papers and I'll just do an outline. I was very meticulous. And at a certain point, it's like, I'm writing this fucking paper right now. Like this is literally the paper. Like this, I'm doing so much with this outline that let me sit my ass down and actually do the damn paper. So sometimes you can create a lot of like extra steps on purpose because you afraid to launch. And that level of meticulous, tedious effort, like, is a sign of someone that's afraid to do something. Like, why are you doing all these things? Like, I had someone I knew who was, I want to. It was a journalism colleague that was doing all this certification shit. Like, oh, I need to. I'm going to take this program to get the certificate in digital design. I need to, I need to take this program. I'm in this master's. I'm doing. I'm like, but you haven't. What is all this? Well, I just want to make sure I'm like, listen, you can overeducate yourself to the point that if you don't produce whatever opportunity you think you're going to get, you're not going to get. And the irony is that they spent so many years going to all these conferences, getting all these certifications, doing all this prep shit, that by the time they thought they knew what job they wanted to get, the industry went in a different direction. Like they literally like took so long to make up their mind with what they wanted to do that the opportunity slipped. So basically the industry, I want to say early 2010s, mid 2010s, there was this wave of social media strategy for online journalism. Like, I know this sounds like you for those who know the industry, you're like, ha, you're laughing at it because now it's like, that's now a joke, right? But at the time, for those who remember, in the early 2010s, like mid 2010s, there was this rise in the industry shifting towards building traffic through social media. Like it was about articles and curation and how to create and do immersive storytelling through social media as a means of audience growth and development. Like this was a thing, right? For those who know. I mean, we can all laugh now because AI has ruined the entire algorithm and the way in which stories get traffic and all that bullshit. And like, there's no real strategy at this point. It's all gone. However, this person that I knew in the industry, they was a traditional web computer science web person that used to do online stories and traffic and stuff. They saw this wave. They were like, I need to know more about it. I was like, okay, well, cool. Go to some workshops, do some things, test it out. No, they wanted to be competitive. So they got some master's degree or something like that, some certification. They went to these different programs. They went to like 3 years of these different conferences and stuff, trying to learn the trends just to like build. I think their strategy was, I want to build this repertoire as an expert so I can go for just director positions and things like, I mean, it was just this whole thing. They did this shit, like they was in this whole exploring, studying phase, I want to say for about a good 3 to 4 years. By the time they finally felt confident to apply for this position, they get the role gets eliminated within like 9 months. Like basically they got laid off. So then they tried to go to another company, but it didn't work out on that front. They just started trying to apply for these different things, but either the role was getting eliminated or it was just no longer available or no one knew what to do with them because the industry had faded. So then it really just dawned on them, like I want to say earlier this year, that like AI was like literally the reason why they couldn't find a job or role with their expertise is because pretty much it flattened. Like the industry shifted into AI. A lot of this is now AI. So when they're doing these job interviews, people are like, oh, we like your skill set on this. Do you know anything about AI? Do you know how to convert that, transfer those talent? They don't, because all these years that they were studying and trying to learn the business through the social media and the meta and all this stuff, like they were doing something on like, remember they did like this program on virtual realities and some shit that Meta had for 5 seconds, and they ended up killing that. Like Meta ended up killing the virtual VR, whatever that shit was called. They did a whole like seminar thing on that shit, and I never did all that, y'all. I gotta keep 100. Like I know what the trends are. Like I'm aware of trends, but one thing about me is I've never super immersed myself into any particular trend. I would know about it, know a little bit about it. Like I know about AI. Do I use AI aggressively, like for stories and my articles and write? No, I don't. I don't use Claude. I don't use ChatGPT. I don't use none of that shit. Do I know how it works? Yes. Why? Because I'm a professor and because I need to make sure my students are not using it in nefarious ways in my class so I can know that my shit's not being plagiarized, because there's been class action lawsuits and massive lawsuits for authors like myself. And so I am learning how the industry is working, how these AI technologies are working to make sure that my shit is not being stolen. Because I don't know if you heard about that big settlement, but my first book, the publisher of my first book filed that lawsuit. They're filing even more lawsuits right now to get authors like me money and compensation in these settlements for my work. So I've had to learn what these technologies are, but I have not personally used them in my own personal work because, quite frankly, 2 years ago, none of us was using it and we was making great work and doing fine. Now all of a sudden I need it. Do I? No, I think Google is just fine. I think the way in which I've been doing my own research has been fine. I don't need to do, I just feel like it. No, research has shown that people who are codependent on this type of software feel dumber and their self-esteem feels bad. Like if you're consistently using ChatGPT and AI to do your shit, like do your writing, all this stuff, it psychologically they're saying that it do something to your self-esteem and your confidence. And I can imagine that, because what it feels like is when you're using things like that, that you're feeling as if you're cheating. The feeling of cheating, even if you're not getting caught, the shame still hits you. If you're cheating and no one sees that you're doing it, you know that you did it. And unless you're like somebody who's like completely selfish, arrogant, whatever, and you just don't give any fucks, it's not going to matter to you the same way. But for somebody who was a creator, who is innovative, who's all those things, mentally, you're not going to go from being a creator like that to then suddenly doing something like this and not feeling that lack of inadequacy. So people get lazy. People want to be all like, oh, this is helpful. But I always tell people that if you do those shortcuts like that, you do those kind of shortcuts, there's always going to be a cost, whether it's emotionally, intellectually, you're not going to feel good. It does not feel good. I saw a student of mine who, this semester, one of my students that was slowly, I feel like, feeling dark. Like there was this area around there when they was feeling more and more, and it wasn't with work in my class, but because the class talked a lot about AI and I talked a lot to my students about those technologies, I noticed they started feeling a level of shame. And it wasn't because of what they were doing in my class, because I really try as much as possible to design a class that isn't requiring my students to be dependent on it. But they were thinking about how much they were having to show up and use basically their brain for my assignments, and then having to shift gears because in other classes, they were using Claude and all that shit all the time. So imagine if you're doing that all the time, and then suddenly you're in an environment where no, you can't pull out your phone and you can't chat GPT this. You have to actually think how that's hard to switch gears like that. Grown folks, some adults, that have been doing it for 15, 20, 30 something years, it's easy for them. And I've told professors this, like real rap. I've told professors in my department, I'm like, you're thinking of ChatGPT as a tool for your grown ass with your advanced degrees, with your years. Yes, for you, yeah, you can see it as a tool because you already know how to think critically. But no shade. These college kids, these students that's coming into college from high school, they don't know how to do that. They don't. And you can tell that a lot of these high schools are passing kids real fast. And even the way in which we look at college grades, not throwing any shade to anybody, but have anybody noticed that there's a lot of people, at least I've noticed this, at least from my observation, but there's a lot more people getting summa cum laude, a lot of more people being valedictorians, a lot of more students getting magna cum laude in these colleges. And I'm not saying that they're not smart. I'm not saying that people have not worked hard. But I do think, in my opinion, that the rigor, the academic rigor and skills to get an A, to get certain grades, the bar has gotten really low, I think, across American colleges. I've taught at two. And all I'm saying is the way in which assignments are being handed out, the way that people are grading, the level of invisible pressure that's being put on professors to go easy on certain students or students on things. It's not said. Like, I've never been in an environment where people told me, give these people an A. It's not been said. But the way in which there's metric systems in place, where I know there are some professors I've talked to that are afraid that if they are known for not giving kids, A's or B's, that they might not get enrolled. Like there might not be enrollment for their class because people might rate them low in the rate my professor. And so if you get a bad score and rate my professor, students may not take the class or may not take your class. And if you're an adjunct professor, you might financially need to teach. If you're not getting enough enrollment for your class or you get a certain reputation as a professor, there is situations where you may not have enrollment, so therefore you can't teach. So there's almost like it's almost like there is an incentive for professors to juice grades, to like give more A's or B's or be lighter on grading to maintain a level of consistency and enrollment in things and maintain. It's a very interesting, unless you're tenured, it's different when you're tenured. And I've noticed this pattern, like if you're a tenured professor, the likelihood of you being tough or being more, whatever is where it's at. I think for me, I'm fair. Um, if a student is really trying, and I'm not just saying trying, but they're showing up, being active, being engaged. I'm not making it impossible to get an A, but I'm also not making it easy either, right? It's more of those things where I'm very clear on my instructions. I'm very clear on what it takes to do well. And my students, because they have that clarity that like, okay, if I do this, if I show up, if I'm engaged, this is what it looks like to get an A. you will earn it. You will earn it. Students that, you know, hey, they can't come to everything, but they're doing it. They're turning in their work. May need a little brush. They're making improvements. You be looking at you in the B range. Anybody else? It's gonna be touch and go, right? That once you, because I noticed that A and B is always a clear indicator. But it's really hard to find C students and then get to that D. Like it's normally nowadays, and with students, you're either getting some of the best, or you're getting shit. It's very seldom that you get people in the middle. I've just noticed that about, at least with my students, I've noticed that the ones that really care, that really show up and do, they're just great. And then the ones, there might be a couple that are not the best in the world, but they're really also pretty much engaged. They're on that B, maybe C, but mostly B. After that, it's not even like I can give people C's. It's like everyone either is just not giving a damn at all. It's really interesting. Like it's not like the years when I was in school where I felt like you really, everybody was, the A student was the A student. Sometimes you knew you wasn't A student. Like there was sometimes in the class I took, I was like, man, if I can get a B minus, I'm straight. Like I'm not, I ain't got it. I ain't got all that in me to do it. But you just had a range. You don't get that nowadays, I feel like, with students in general and people. Either people are giving you the A game or they give you an F. It's like there's no real median anymore. And that's just something I just noticed with all these graduations coming up. I'm like, it's a lot of valedictorians. That wasn't what it was when I was back in school. It's a lot of people summa cum laude. It's a lot of magna cum laude. I want to read these papers. Can you even do a paper? Do you know how to cite a source? I'm gonna be quiet. I just see some things and I just go, that's very interesting. But no shade, no shade. Um, I digress because I don't even know. Like I wasn't even thinking about talking about that, but it's just it's the world we live in now. We're in some very, the industry is a very, the academic world is very different, very very different. Um, but yeah, I want to talk before we get into it. So, Media Professional Awards was great. There are going to be some pictures. I can't wait for the photography from Chiron. He listens to this show, so maybe he's getting the photos together while he listens to the show. But I tease. Yeah, the event was great. It was definitely this year. I love my outfit. I was the free press. That was my theme. I was a free press. I had an outfit that was like basically clippings from different newspapers, and I wore it in a two piece. It was a two piece set. I love my two pieces. When I find me some good custom made two pieces, I pop out with them. But I debuted my Mira medium bag from Telfar. And it was beautiful. That look that's definitely one of my favorite looks. Definitely in the top 10. It was definitely, yeah, it was a fit. What the kids say, I'll put that shit on. I put that shit on. Um, but no, it was a nice outfit. It was a great time. Shout out to Tito's Handmade Vodka. Shout out to our sponsor, CBS Philadelphia, CCP, Comcast. We love y'all. We love y'all out. Y'all was great. It was just a great turnout. Just being in the room with people, especially in a time like this, where it's so important to support the free press. I definitely had a fun time co-emceeing. Okay, I was making some jokes. I had some jokes. That was funny. Them jokes are gonna stay in the room. We're not gonna share all them jokes in this podcast. But it was definitely giving Golden Globes energy for sure. It was a good time. It was a good time. Okay, one little joke. I made one joke about putting your ones in the air. And if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But I made the room get up and put their ones in the air. Okay, one Philly, a united free press. Yes. And there were people from the city that was there, so that even made it better because I made people. Yeah, yeah. We did there was some real advocacy going on in that room. But before we get to hot topics, I did a special edition. This is like 3 consecutive. Y'all are spoiled. Okay? I don't want to hear no more from many of you all about special editions, okay? Because y'all are getting one this week. Y'all got one last week. You got one a week before. I don't want to hear anything about a special edition. Everything don't require a special edition, but sometimes they do. And in this case, we had one, okay? Chad Lassiter, okay? Chad Dion Lassiter, who was the Pennsylvania Commission on Human Relations, PCHR, executive director. He is going to be leaving that position on June 30th. As of recording this podcast, you never know. Well, there was a big story that came out about him, and I did a special edition episode. A lot of you all have listened to it. You got this podcast back on the top 200 of all Apple News podcasts. So you all were listening. Shout out to y'all. Okay, every time a special edition drop, y'all show up. Y'all do y'all big one. We run these numbers up. We doing it. Okay, no special reels, no funding, nothing. This is just an independent podcast doing this big one. And you all listen by the thousands, okay? The thousands of you all listen. We've been doing this for 5 years. And it just always gives me goosebumps. It just always gets me like, I did not think I was going to be a podcaster. I did not think that was in me, but here I am 5 years later, over 250 episodes, and here we are still doing it. So, I do it because you all listen. Like, I tell people, if it ain't working, it ain't working, right? If people are not engaged, if people don't want it, I'm not going to force feed it. I do this podcast because there's an audience. It's people like you listening that listen. Many of you all religiously. It's your ritual. A certain honoree named Taib Smith said, I listen to On the Record on Sundays, and I listen to Ernestly Speaking on Mondays. Like, people listen to this. And I love the fact that you all told people, we don't give a fuck how long this has to be. I need all the information, and I need him to take his time, because 1 hour is not enough, as you all can see on my other show. And we do it like that. I remember telling the industry, like I told someone recently, I was like, what y'all gotta understand about me is I don't do trends. I set trends. Y'all notice that on Instagram, everybody want to do a black box now? Y'all peep that? Y'all peeping that black box with the white words? Y'all know where that came from. Who did that first? Y'all notice that, Instagram and Meta is telling everybody that carousels is in and reels are not in anymore? Who didn't do reels like that? Who was doing carousels before carousels was a thing? Oh, okay. That's what I tell you. I'm a trendsetter. I set the trends. I said, I don't want to do TikTok anymore. TikTok, no TikTok for me. Now y'all want to do TikTok. Now, what if I put all my stock in TikTok? What if I put all my energy into TikTok? What would have happened? Right? So I don't jump on trends. I don't. I set trends. I do what I like. That's what Nally Nunn taught me. She said, I'm going to do what I like. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do what I like. It's a pickup. Anyway, she was in Philly. I should have went to that concert, but I couldn't. But I love Nally Nunn. Anyway, I am a baddie. Anyway, I tell people that I don't chase trends. Someone's like telling me, you should do reels. Now, what if I did reels? No, reels is dead now. You really can't do reels like that anymore. You should do more pictures. You can do more videos of yourself. No. I do videos of myself in the stories when I feel like it. But I'm not going to always be having my face on shit. I think, look, I look good. Y'all see me. Y'all see it. I just don't like, I think news and information is best served directly. Give it to people plain. Give it to people in the most accessible way. I feel like when people do all that camera stuff, all the extra stuff, listen, y'all don't get it. But trends, I study them. I create them. I do what makes sense. And then people realize, oh, it takes too much damn work. Call it lazy or just call it common sense. There's too many people spending too much time on fucking reels. Unless you're getting paid, unless you're doing a production, unless you're doing something of the utmost quality, I just think just getting on the internet and making a bunch of reels of yourself doing some shit, I just think that shit is trash. Too many people doing it. When everybody do it, it becomes plain. It becomes boring. So I stopped. I said, I want to just stop and make people read. I think we got too much shit. Let people stop and read. Make people stop and listen. Make people have attention spans. My goal is to help grow people's attention spans. Like, I just think everything's going too fucking fast. We need to slow this shit the fuck down. And so that is really my whole appeal, is slowing this shit the fuck down. Long form pieces, take some time and read the material. And you know what I believe? When you got good shit, people will sit down and read. Because y'all can sit up and binge 8 episodes of a show and they're 1 hour long and you don't complain. Okay? The real pros is going to make you stop and receive it, right? I give Beyonce that. Beyonce makes people stop and have to consume. She's not going to force feed you on some 2-minute little fast ass song. She's like, my work needs to be received. It's an experience. This podcast cannot be done in no 30 minutes. You have to take it in. You have to sit. You have to listen. You have to give yourself that time to hear me out. And I take my time to break my shit down because I don't want there to be any more confusion. There's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is when people give out stuff that's untrue accidentally. Disinformation was when people deliberately lie. Disinformation is propaganda. It's deception. It's meant for you not to know information. So I just want to make sure you all know both of them are bad, but one's more deliberate. So when you think of disinformation, think of it as deliberate misinformation. And misinformation is a mistake. It's accidental, untruths, right? But misinformed, right? So one is more of a mistake and one is meant to, deceive. So that's how I separate the two for those who didn't know that. But you gotta take time. And I do that. I'm not about to rush my show. And you are proven by listening and your loyalty after all these years that this can work. That the folks that were trying to, corporate media, trying to force feed shit to their own algorithms and standards. That wasn't the human appetite. The human appetite was never to get things in 15 seconds. That's an industry trying to treat us like robots and shit. Real people who want to learn need that time. And listen, companies may not be able to do that, but this is different. This podcast, we got time. We're going to take our time. And you're going to walk out of here smarter, more thoughtful, more aware. And you know what I've always told people, that anytime you rush something, you're going to pay the price one way or the other. If you do something illegal and you rush it, you're going to spend that time in jail reflecting behind bars. Or if you rush something, you're going to fuck up and you're going to have to hear somebody cuss you out on a phone call. Or you're going to have multiple phone calls and multiple meetings. All that time, some of you organizations that fuck up on issues around race and gender and inclusion and shit, maybe if you took your time and listened to an episode of Ernestly Speaking, you might stop yourself from having to go somewhere to a therapist and reflect on why you lost your job. Maybe a podcast like this could be insightful for you to not blow some shit up and then have to figure out how to pick up the pieces and have longer conversations and longer meetings and have to do more. Maybe this is an act of harm reduction. Maybe this is an act of, pro bono consulting. It could be a lot. This show could be a lot of things for a lot of people beyond entertainment. It's a lot going on. And so I say all this to say that the interview with Chad Lassiter was really good. A lot of you all listened to it. It gave you a different perspective about Governor Josh Shapiro's role in the situation, Lassiter's role in the situation, his future, optics, and politics. But that all being said, I gotta say this. I'm gonna say this on this podcast, on this particular episode. And if you're, you're an avid listener, you're part of the core 750. We're getting up there, y'all. And this, what I'm about to say, is real. And it's not about anybody in particular. No, not anybody in particular. But I've just noticed this pattern And I've thought about this lately. A lot of Black folks in Philadelphia and the area, they're in these very prestigious positions. They get in these roles, they get access to resources, money, connections, all the things. They get in these roles, they have their roles, their titles, and they don't really talk to me when they're in these positions. When they have their roles, it'll be a hey, hi, you know, whenever they have an event, they don't call nobody to say, hey, can you cover this? Can you come to this? I'd like you to come. We got some grant money. We can support, an organization like Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, buy a table, I'll add, No, they just go ghost. They go ghost. Even though they see what I'm doing, they follow, they know what's happening. But then they get in some shit. And all of a sudden, they know my number. They know how to reach me. All of a sudden, they need help. They need something that went wrong. The people that they were hanging out with all those years that they weren't hanging out with you with, or called you about, or asked for your thoughts about, they don't. When they had some shit, they know who to call. Ghostbusters. No, I'm joking. My ass. And so I've just have noticed lately, there's been a pattern. Haven't y'all noticed it? I know some of you listeners have noticed it too. That it's getting real out here in these streets for a lot of folks. And I'm not into, Schadenfreude. I'm not into folks fucking up and finding out. But all I will say to my fellow Black leaders in community, don't wait to be in some shit before you call my phone. Look, if you a good person and we good, I'm going to pick up. I'm going to show up. But I just need, and this is just me talking to community. Now, all the other folks out here listening to this podcast, you can just listen and nod silently, but you this ain't for you to weigh in on. But to my fellow Black leaders in community, don't wait until you don't got the coins anymore. They didn't call me. You should have been. I'm joking, but I'm not joking. It's real rap. Why is it that when you fall from grace, or you in some scandal, or you in some shit, that's when you call the Black press? That's when you know how to pick up the phone. When you doing good, when you got a grant, when you got opportunities, when you in higher places, I don't get that phone call. I don't hear anything. No one asks me to come out for drinks. No one ever tells me, hey, let's talk. Let me tell you about this project I'm working on. Or when you meeting some people that are some folks you ain't familiar with, you ain't calling nobody to say, hey, Ernest, tell me how Governor Josh Shapiro works. Can you tell me about this political scene? You don't ever call then. But the moment your ass is in some shit, the moment you done got fucked over by the Inquirer, or you done got dealt with wrong by some politician, then all of a sudden, you know when to call me. I'm going to pick up the phone, you know what I'm saying? Because, I am my brother's keeper when my brother is right. But don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait. Because, you could prevent a lot of these problems. Like, before stuff really blow up, let people know. There's so many people that are suffering in silence. I've never been one to do that. Not recently. When I was much younger, sure. But nowadays, I don't do that. Like I let you all know when stuff is, y'all know what I'm talking about. When things get a little weird, I'm like, I don't know. But it's never going to be a situation where I'm going to be in any relationships, friendships, connections, whatever, and I'm somewhere and I'm just miserable and I'm just never liking something. Normally, when I'm over it, either I'm cutting it quick or I'm already coming up with an exit plan. I don't have to wait. I don't have to to wait. I'm not going to wait for everything to blow up in smoke before I finally say it's time to go. Lately, I have cut off associates in my circle, not friends. That I've learned not to use the word friend lightly, loosely. But certain times you have certain people in your network or your space where you're like, they were once productive and meaningful, and then people just fade. It doesn't have to necessarily be a huge, epic, fuck you, bye thing. Nah, you keep that to yourself. But you can also be in a space where you can go, I think, I think I should lower my expectations on the nature of the French, not the friendship, because friends are different. I'm thinking about a particular situation. It was not a friendship, but it was an acquaintanceship. When to move of an associate to an acquaintance. That part has been interesting to observe. I wouldn't say in my last 2 years I've cut friends off. I think I've been very good at understanding what a friend is to an associate. Now I'm realizing associate to an acquaintance. It's easy for me to distinguish friends and associates, but now I'm beginning to recognize associates and acquaintances. And how I look at it is that a friend is a person that you can be very candid and very honest and straightforward with, that you don't have to question their motives at any time. You know that they are leading with good intentions and you are for them and you can trust them. That's a friend. It's in my opinion. I mean, that's how I look at friends. And sometimes friends are synonymous with family for me at this point. Associates are people that you share a level of alignment with on several things. You have a great familiarity with each other, but it's not very candid and it's not very personal. This person has the potential to be a friend, but you haven't gotten there yet, either through time, either through connection. Sometimes associates are never meant to be friends because you got them in a work capacity, and honestly, they might leave your life before it's even time to build a friendship because, they might relocate or something, but they were good. They're an asset. We like associates. Associates are not bad. Sometimes associates is meant to be associates. They're not necessarily meant to be friends. Like I will say this, not that I have some white friends. I do have some white friends, but I have more black friends than white friends. I will say associates, I got a lot of white associates. And that's not a bad thing. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I do have a few white friends, but I have a lot of white associates. And that is not a bad thing. Okay. Acquaintances. This is when it gets tricky. Acquaintances are people that you're not doing any work with. There's not really alignment, but there's familiarity, more familiarity than anything else. Friendships are a situation. This is where friends and acquaintances can get weird because friends have a level of adoration, love, care, and it doesn't have to be rooted in any work, but there has been a strong bond and trust that's built into a level of trust that is also aligned with loyalty. And it doesn't have to be connected through work. It could just be just time spent, seniority, the maturation of the relationship, and friendship can be there. Sometimes an acquaintance can become a friend through time and build and trust and growth. But what gets people confused is that the admiration between an acquaintance and a friend can sometimes feel similar. So you can have that person that is always on your social media liking your posts, saying nice things. You never met them, you never broke bread with them, they never hung out with you, but they just always just show love. A fan, right? Or somebody in that type of aura, right? That's an acquaintance. Sometimes people will treat an acquaintance like a friend because the feelings, the expressions can sometimes be similar, but you got to recognize, has this person shown up in a certain type of way? Is there a level of trust? Do you know this person? This person with you, have y'all built something there? So then you got to know what the acquaintance is, right? Associates don't have to necessarily have the type of pleasantry in that way. It's just somebody that you have alignment with. You've done some things with. You guys are productive. There's a productivity, and it can be connected to work, an organization, a fraternity, or whatever. And there is alignment. There has to be alignment. And so if you don't have no alignment with an associate, they're not an associate. They can be an acquaintance or just a person in the street, right? But what makes an associate kind of cool is that you do have familiarity with them and there is alignment and there could be even some reciprocity and transaction. Trust is kind of, you know, mm, maybe there's trust, maybe there's not, but they're not fully in the friend circle because friends, there doesn't have to be work to make that connection happen. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just a level of loyalty. And that can come with family. That can be what it's going to be because you're kind of in this thrust with them. That's just natural. But sometimes associates can become friends because through the work, through the connection, you can build and then build something that's more intimate and more candid. But acquaintance is very interesting. And so there are some people that I've worked with where they were an associate, where there was an alignment at a certain point through work. And then it's like, yeah, we ain't really working. I don't trust you enough for you to be a friend anymore or a friend at all. But you're okay. You're not an enemy. But I can say hi when I see you, but that's about it. That's acquaintance. It's interesting because normally trajectory becomes acquaintances could be associates, or sometimes acquaintances become friends, can become friends. But what happens when friends become acquaintances, or an associate becomes an acquaintance? I think with me, I don't know how to turn a friend into an acquaintance. I think once you fall off, you just fall off. I don't really, nah. You just not. For me, you just fall off. But I think for me, the new thing has been seeing associates not make it to the friend circle, but then make it to the acquaintance circle. That's been an interesting observation to see, just from out loud. But anywho, long story short, Black leaders that know me, don't wait until you in some shit to give me that call. If you see a problem already brewing, or even when there's not a problem, if life is good, let's celebrate. Let's be in communication. Let's be around so that I don't have to be like, well, what was the rise and what was the fall? Let's prevent falls if we can. And so much of the stories I've been getting lately, and I've been talking to different people and things, and there's a lot going on in Philadelphia behind the scenes, y'all. I mean, you know this already, but there's a situation I'm just like, damn, if you would have told me this a year ago, or if I would have known a little bit, man, we could have been talked. I mean, if you have a level of trust for me where you feel comfortable giving me an interview, damn, I wish I would have known before things went up in smoke. So I just encourage Black leaders to do more inner communication. Yeah, I'll say that. It's a lot. We going through it. We talking through it today, huh? So as far um you know, as far as everything else, that's going on, um, as far as hot topics, Trump is doing what Trump is doing. I this week don't want to delve too much into Trump. I'm not saying I have Trump fatigue. I mean, slightly, it's annoying, but Trump is trumping and he's boring. And there's a lot of shit going on right now on the state and local level. I mean, with the redistricting, going back and forth with the redistricting of maps. This gerrymandering shit is out of control, as you all know. I talked about last week. It's continuing now this week as we predicted. Trump is just in the way. He's just around. And I just feel like he don't even know he don't know what he's doing, but it's just like, I feel like he's in this weird lame duck situation where he's quacking, but like everybody's kind of like, okay, we see you, you lame duck, but we just don't really care because there's other bigger fish to fry. Mind you, he's still the president, so he's antagonizing, and it should never be underestimated that at any moment he could do something really extreme to divert attention back to himself. But for now, I'm just not even paying much attention. What is interesting right now is seeing what's happening with the Democrats and also what's happening with future politics. There is some drama going on right now, some big drama that is going on right now with AOC and MTG. And if you don't know who that is, AOC is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. She is Congresswoman AOC, right? Then you have former Congresswoman MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, which she has been a frequent discussion on this show. And there's some weird shit going on with the leftists with this discourse. I don't know what y'all on, but there's been a lot of criticism around Marjorie Taylor Greene. Well, around AOC. AOC has been telling leftists, do not, which she's right about. This woman is a bigot. She's referring to Marjorie Taylor Greene as a bigot. Telling her, um, you know, telling her, we shouldn't. She's telling leftists, don't fall too much in the trap. Don't fall too much for her antics, because I think there's some people that's really, drinking the Kool-Aid, drinking the Marjorie Taylor Greene Kool-Aid. Like everything she's saying, everything she's preaching, all this stuff, everybody's, hyping her up because she's taking these big, bold stances on Israel, calling it a genocide, doing all the things, saying all this stuff. All of that is true. And I agree with AOC on that. I think that people need to really be giving Marjorie Taylor Greene side eye. Like, okay, she's saying these things, but like now all of a sudden y'all about to sit up here and forget all the racist, sexist, misogynist, like all the shit this woman has done over the years. It's been very telling. And I've been saying this for a minute. There is an unhealthy amount of obsession over Israel. And I'm not saying that Israel does not deserve critique and that the way the government is funding them is not problematic. No, all of that is true. But I've been saying that there has been an outsized amount of fixation on this issue in ways that I have found to be unproductive to the larger scheme of things. Folks have tried to say, oh, there's a connection between the struggle with people in Gaza and what's happened in the U.S. I'm not denying any of that. No, I'm not saying that's not true. I'm not saying it's not happening. But what I've noticed is, at what point is that part of the conversation going to be the focal point in getting people around nationally? I'm not saying you can't care about what's happening over in the Middle East. We all should be. We all should be demanding justice, accountability, all of the things. No denying that. But at the same time, if you're not trying to treat this as an isolated issue and you want this to be something that can connect to everyday people living here in the continental U.S., simply doing the fear-mongering, the guilt-tripping, the emotional appeals, that's not landing with people that are already in a struggle. And if you cannot connect those dots in a way that makes it relevant to what they're going through, which there are ways to do so, right? We can say, hey, taxpayer dollars, American dollars are going to a war and to harm, and it could be used for other things, right? We can have that conversation. No more funding of wars. Put money back into other things, right? We can talk about political priorities. We got this conversation in a different way. Problem is, I don't hear enough of that. I don't hear enough of that within political candidates. I don't hear enough about that in just general activists that are organized around this issue. I just don't. I don't. I'm not saying that people aren't doing it. I'm just saying not enough of that is happening. So much of the conversation is these very philosophical, political conversations and rhetoric, but it's not rooted around policy. It's not rooted around, linking these things to causes that people can join forces on. It seems to be very narrow, and anybody who questions it or disagrees with it, they're getting labeled things that are unfair and inaccurate to who they are and what they're about, which then shuts them up, which makes them not give a fuck and not want to be engaged. And until people have figured this out, this is going to be the next Occupy Wall Street conversation where, yeah, you'll get some movement and some public concern, but then people will start feeling like, you know what, these people are just yelling, nagging. I ain't got no time for that. This is an important cause, and I feel like there's a level of leftists in this movement that have taken up space in ways that have made it about them and their savior complexes rather than actually listening to people on the ground, getting more creative or more thoughtful about how to have these conversations, rather than just the typical yell, mislabeling, rage. And it's like you're just yelling. You're just mad. You're just having a whole meltdown, and none of that shit is going to move any needles or get anything done. But it's because it's about you and how you want to perform your activism than actually trying to be strategic and communicate to folks that are trying to learn in a way that is not counterproductive. Yeah, I said that in so many ways. I want to say so many swear words. But what I mean by this is that now people are getting mad at AOC. People are coming for AOC. People are now trashing her. What do y'all want over there on the left? Like, I'm a pragmatic progressive. Let me be very clear. I know who I am and where I sit on the issues. But what's been very frustrating lately is seeing the internal fighting amongst progressives in ways that there's momentum here, potential momentum, but that's being squandered by litmus tests around this issue around Gaza. And I just, quite frankly, I got to say, this should not be the ultimate litmus test. I'm not saying that people should be out here denying what's going on in Gaza. Now, if you're a denier, like, then yeah, that ain't a good look. But to put people on a whole metric around this. And then also, who the fuck progressives thought that you all was to exonerate Marjorie Taylor Greene? Who did that? What meeting did I miss? What committee call did I miss? Because I'm trying to figure out who thought it was okay to be bucking at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, bucking at AOC on Marjorie Taylor Greene. So y'all about to throw out AOC, whose voting record on Palestine has been more progressive and more profound compared to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, there's legitimate groups that have been measuring policymakers and voters, and AOC's like in the top 5. But there are people that's mad about her not voting against the defense bill. Okay, fair critique. Fair critique. She didn't do that, right? She didn't vote against the defense bill. Got it. Understood. But none of these politicians are perfect. And if you're looking for perfection, or you're looking for somebody, you want to define their entire political career on one vote, on one particular matter, and that's how you're going to define an entire political career. Sorry to break it to y'all, but maybe y'all should not even be getting involved in electoral politics. I think that's been my biggest critique, is that I don't understand progressives, some progressives, let me be very clear, not all, but some progressives. I don't know what they want, because it's kind of like, if you get involved in electoral politics, you have to accept that the political system in America is flawed. And that means that any politician that runs for office or seeks to be a part of this U.S. political system is going to make some very faulty moves. There is no pure politician in America. There's none. Your fave Bernie Sanders, he ain't pure, baby, okay? He's got some issues. Let's talk about the fact that this man, for Christ's sake, keeps talking about building up the working class and advocating for rights, but he can't even talk about what has happened to black folks with this Voting Rights Act, okay? Everyday black voters. These are working folks in the Deep South that are losing their protections. And this man has gone on for weeks not saying a damn thing about it. But you, Bernie Sanders, though, for the people, you talking about organizing and liberation and all these things. Talking about revolution. Does your revolution include black people? And when people say this, they all say, oh, don't say that. They're trying to divide us. They're trying to make it a race thing. Nah, I'm not. I'm just saying, what does it look like to be a black progressive in this fucking movement when you literally got people up here that y'all propping up that can't even acknowledge the plight of different communities in this fucking movement? I'm sorry. It's getting old. It's getting old. Bernie Sanders has a problem with race. He has a problem with race. He has a problem with understanding the struggle of black folks within this progressive space. He don't have it. He had this problem in 2016, it's 2026, and he now has the problem now. How many times is he gonna not get it? He just don't see race. The man just does not understand intersectionality. But I'm supposed to sit up here and act like this man is gonna be any better for us look, better than most, but he's still not there. So again, all these expectations, like, it's just very telling to me. And I got to say this too. I need the white leftists on this issue around Gaza to shut up. Literally, shut up. Not shut up on speaking out against it, but shut up on your fucking moral high ground. Because what's interesting to me is that as a black person, as a black pragmatic progressive, I have seen so many times where liberals, black folks, however you want to call them, liberals, progressives, Democrats, leftists, whatever, have had to spend decades trying to educate white folks, white liberals and progressives included, on white supremacy, on understanding microaggressions, understanding anti-blackness, and all these things. And it seems like after 2020, more of them finally began to wake up and understand this issue and finally begin to speak out about it. Took y'all decades. But on this Gaza issue, I find it interesting that I've seen these same white liberals or white progressives, leftists, whatever, be so instantly motivated to talk about Palestine, know the language, know the conversation, know the way to talk about it, know how to say genocide, know demanding language and it's like, wow, like quickly understood it, know how to wear the scarves and the things and like it's interesting to me how quick these white progressives were to understand that, to show up for this. And I ain't mad at the Palestinian people for getting, rightfully so, justice and getting white people's attention so promptly. I'm not jealous at all. Good for you. But I want to tell y'all something, as my other folks on the other side, my olive skinned folks that's next to the melanin. As a black person and has seen them do this shit, understand that when you piss them off, whatever it will be, I don't know what it's going to take to piss them off for y'all, but when y'all piss them off or y'all stop giving them the center of attention, watch how they turn, how the world turns. Watch how they'll turn. Because I've seen them do with Black Lives Matter. I've seen them do with racial justice issues. They will eventually do it. I don't know what it's going to take, but watch carefully how they move. Because one thing about white progressives, they're transactional as fuck. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. I've seen them. I see them doing this shit now. I see them doing it with these political elections. I have seen how they move. When they love you, oh, they're obsessed with you. They stand for you. You become their next fetish. But when they get pissed off with you, it's like they never knew you. It's almost like you are the scum of the earth, and that's how they will treat you. And if you thought you've been betrayed by white supremacists, betrayal by a white liberal and white progressive, child, it's almost the same experience. And as somebody who has been disregarded and disrespected by racist white people, when I grew up in Texas, these northern East Coast white liberal progressives, when they get mad at you, it's almost the same thing. Death by 1,000 cuts. You are the N-word, you listen. It's the same energy. I have seen how these people act. So for me, I have realized, because as y'all know, I just wrote my book. I'm doing it. For me, I don't want no extremes. I don't like far right extreme. I don't like far left extreme. For both sides. A white extremist on any side is a problem to society. A white leftist extremist is just as toxic as a white far-right extremist. And anybody who understands what the fuck I'm talking about, you will understand they are both equally chaotic. Neither one of them should be leading movements, centering themselves in movements. Get them the fuck out. They are toxic as hell. Because the vitriol that they carry, first of all, nobody comes out in American society coming out extremely woke and white at the same damn time. Whatever their obsession and fetish becomes, whatever grounds them and gives them whatever level of righteousness that they feel they need, they get obsessed. And what's funny is rather than take that energy to other white people, they oftentimes take it to black and brown people. And so I'm looking at how they're dogpiling AOC. And she's not perfect on so many fronts. No one's saying he's politician. No politician is perfect. Let's be very clear. But the level to which people are turning on her, specifically white leftists, the way they showing their ass and the way they cutting up, it's very telling. It's very telling. But I'm here to tell y'all, anybody who was allowing Marjorie Taylor Greene to be validated in such a way over this issue, it makes me wonder, where do you stand on these other progressive issues? Because there's no way that you're going to be able to praise someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has not apologized for her years of racism to members of the squad, her Islamophobia and all other bullshit, who just decided to turn the page on her thoughts around Israel, because now I think low-key she's thinking about running for president. I think she's trying to build a base of people. I think that's what she's doing. And I think that she knows that this is a polarizing issue that she can win some support or some interest in. And I think that's what she's doing. I see it. I see it for what it is. I am not fooled at all. So, yeah. You know, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. So that's my thoughts on that. Progressives doing a damn thing. I know there's been a lot of conversations about Mom Donnie, Mayor Mom Donnie in New York. You know, the only mayor on the East Coast that follows me, you know. I think Brandon from Baltimore, I think Baltimore mayor follow me too. Brandon Scott, I think he follows me too. But Mom Donnie do. Mayor Sherelle Parker don't. But I gotta say, I know people got critiques about it, but shout out to Mom Donnie on balancing that budget, however he balanced it, okay? I just think he is doing a good job. Better than I thought. Has it been perfect? No, absolutely not. But I think he's been doing a good job in bringing some level of decorum. He's got some ambitious policies. Some stuff is working, some stuff isn't. You know, he's learning. Some of the things some of his ambitious stuff he's wanted to do, like, you know, taxing the wealthy in a certain way, not necessarily the way. But he's been able to get some money from the governor of New York. He's been able to work across the aisle with certain people that people thought was not going to work with him. And I think that's helped him. And I think his budget that he's proposed is a good step in the right direction, better than I thought. Because a lot of people have been fear-mongering that, oh, if he's mayor, no one's going to come to New York City. They're going to all leave and businesses are going to leave and take their buildings. That shit has not happened. And I think that says something, because so many people use that as a fear-mongering tactic. And he was able to prove y'all bluffing. So I like it. I like it. I know people got their little complaints, but for him not to be making major cuts to schools and education, to not harm folks in the process of his work, that's very telling to me. You know, that's very telling to me. And I think that's, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to give credit where it's due. There's also been conversations, and I'm going to take some time to talk about this more. I just want to put this preview out there, but there's been a lot of talks about who's running in 2028. And while Trump is in Beijing, in China and all this shit going on there, there's some people talking. You know, some of the people that's coming up, of course, is that J.D. Vance isn't talking about 2028 yet. Well, we know it's coming. We know 2028 is coming. And he's not trying to poke the bear with Trump because, you know, Trump is in his feelings. So that's happening right now. And everybody's watching how that play out. But there's definitely more to be said. For starters, we still have Trump, who has been joking about staying in office longer than his second term, which is unconstitutional. And also, there's former Vice President Kamala Harris, who still has the biggest name in the field, um, which can cut both ways. Many people may hunger for someone less tied to President Joe Biden after that disaster in 2024. But nonetheless, the vice presidents, J.D. Vance, Kamala Harris, are still in the conversation. Then there's some people from Trump's current administration. Marco Rubio is seeming to be the main primary competitor. That's what people were saying. They're saying that he is, he already ran in 2016 when Trump called him Lil Marco. He seems to be the biggest interest. Everyone I've talked to have said it's between JD and Marco on the Republican side. But then there's people like Doug Bergman, who's the Interior Secretary, who has been around, been floating around a little bit. People have definitely talked about Doug Bergman. Then there's people talking about RFK Jr., who already ran. He ran as a Democrat and independent in 2024. And I remember that shit. He wasn't even a Republican. He ran as a Democrat. And then Republican, he switched over. It was messy. Tulsi Gabbard might try to do it again, even though Tulsi is a whole snake. When she was in Hawaii, ran as a Democrat against Hillary. This is back in 2016. And then turned around and then, showed her whole ass. So, that's been a thing. Yeah, that's been a hot mess. And then you have Pete Hegseth, which is a joke. But people have tossed his name around. On the Biden side, you got Pete Buttigieg, you got Rahm Emanuel, you got Gina Raimondo, who's the former Commerce Secretary, Mitch Landrieu, who used to be the former mayor of New Orleans, but also served in the Biden White House. I don't see any of these four. Pete Buttigieg, child please. Then you got the governors, Gavin Newsom, of course. He's for the, Gavin Newsom, the Democrat. J.B. Pritzker, Josh Shapiro, clearly. Wes Moore of Maryland, potentially. But then on the Republican side, there's speculation of people like Ron DeSantis. Another shot, another one. It's like, are we doing that again? Like, are we really playing? Are we really doing that again? Like, are we trying to make that fetch? But there's definitely people, that are really entertaining that. And I'm just kind of like, sure. Greg Abbott, Texas. Brian Kemp from Georgia. Interesting. Sarah Huckabee Sanders from Alaska. I'm sorry, Arkansas. Freudian slip. Anyone get that joke? And then Glenn Youngkin, who is the former governor of Virginia. So there's a interesting mix there. Senators, we got the senators. That is Cory Booker. Amy Klobuchar might run again. Mark Kelly, who was initially a VP frontrunner for the Democrats. Chris Van Hollen, who's been already going to Iowa, apparently. He's a senator in Maryland. Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Tim Scott. Again, you couldn't even keep your fiance. And then there is the outsiders. There are the outsiders. AOC, definitely been talked about. AOC for sure. Marjorie Taylor Greene, which we talked about earlier. Tucker Carlson. Stephen A. Smith. Donald Trump Jr. They said, sure, it's possible. So we got a lot of names floating. Got some interesting names floating around. These are the contenders. One of the people I just named will be the next president of the United States. So we got, let me look at we got a nice number of potential folks. But these are the major people that's been tossed in the conversation. Yeah. And while that's going on, there's this guy, Jack Schlossenberg, who's the grandson of John F. Kennedy, JFK. His grandson is currently in the lead in a crowded primary for this House seat in New York City. He's 33 years old. People say he looks good, but he's really weird. He's got some interesting social media behavior and conduct going on. But people are saying he's got some erratic behavior. I read a really good story about him in the New York Times, and it was interesting because he had frenzy media outlets, a lot of people. The goal was to show that he was, a serious candidate ready for what was promising to be a grueling race. But just hours into the first day of the launch of his campaign, he abruptly announced a change of plans for the events. He, forget dialing for dollars and fundraising. He needed a nap, and he disappeared for the day, leaving his team reeling. Really interesting tell-all story about this guy. But he's a Nepo baby at the end of the day. The piece is called Inside Jack Schlossenberg's Chaotic Campaign to Revive Camelot. Erratic behavior and staff turnover have colored Mr. Schlossenberg's bid for a House seat in New York, raising questions about his readiness for office. But at the end of the day, they're going to say he's a Kennedy, and we'll see if he wins. But we'll see how it plays out in the primary. But I've been following this. I'm curious about it. I don't know if he's going to win or not. But this is a competitive seat in New York, so we'll see how it play out. But name recognition don't hurt anything, right? So with media, there's been some stuff going on in media. For starters, the good news first. Byron Allen, my fave, I love me some Byron Allen, has purchased BuzzFeed for $120 million. I think we just talked about BuzzFeed. Now he's expanding his media empire, Byron Allen, who, he's like one of my all-time favorite, media folks, okay? Him and Oprah are like my media mom and dad, like media-wise. Like both of them, they're just, they're aspirational to me. They're kick-ass. So he just bought BuzzFeed for $120 million. Listen, Byron. Listen, hit me up. You need editor-in-chief? I'm joking. Stop the rumors. But I'm just saying, I've worked with him before. He owns the Griot, and I used to be a contributor at the Griot for some time. But, I just saw him at the Grammys. I was at the Clive Davis party, and, I saw him there, and Heidi Klum. Heidi Klum was there, and a couple other folks, and I was at the party, and I bumped into him again. This is like my second time seeing him. 2 years in a row, no big deal. But no, he's just a great guy. I really need to, I came in there and I was just real chill. I think the next time I see him, 3 times a charm, I'm going to have to ask him and say, listen, I'm not just going to say I admire your work and give him a handshake. I'm going to go in for the deal. I'm like, I need to, you looking for some talent? You looking for somebody, you know what I'm saying? Let me stop. But no, he just got BuzzFeed. It's pretty awesome. I'm curious what he's going to do to resurrect it. Because BuzzFeed has kind of been around, but not really as hot as it used to be. But he didn't purchase this, so there might be something to watch. I want to talk about Jason Collins, the first openly gay NBA player that was actually playing at the time. He passed away from cancer at 47 years old, which is very young. But what a life. What a life. I remember when he came out, how it was, for Sports Illustrated, and he did it with so much dignity. For quite some time, he was struggling with issues with the brain. And it was stage 4. They called it stage 4 glioblastoma, which is a highly aggressive and deadly form of brain cancer. And he got this brain tumor diagnosis in late 2025. And yeah, it's yeah, it's sad. And yeah, I'll just remember the fact that he, throughout his career, lived very courageously at a time where people were not accepting and still not accepting in sports. Like we know there's a lot of gay players in sports. We know that. And people don't want to come out. And when he did, he faced a lot of stigma. I mean, first of all, he's tall. He was so tall and handsome. He was 7 foot tall. 7 foot tall. Like 7 feet. Not 6 foot something, 7 feet tall. Man was huge. And a great athlete. And very well respected. And yeah. I think him coming out like he did, um, I wish it would have inspired more players to come out, but it just shows that it's possible. And he did. And he played and he was himself. And, you know, and we know there's more. There's always been more. I know for a fact there's more. I can confirm for a fact. People are still in this day and age acting like gay people don't exist. Like there's people still out here acting like, it's only a few or one or two. Like it's not. And I appreciate the words of Charles Barkley, even though he typically oftentimes say problematic things. A broken clock can be right twice a day. Um, but he spoke out about this and, talked about the stuff that, has happened in the industry and really, really spoke out and caught, he refuses to let homophobia hide in sports. He did a tribute and spoke and, made it clear that anyone who believes that there are no gay players in the NFL, Major League Baseball, or the NBA is simply mistaken. He was very blunt about this. He called the assumption stupid. Basically using the word to describe not a person, right, but willful blindness of those who think Colin coming out somehow solved the problem that was always much bigger than him. And that was real. It was real. That there was this illusion, right? And I remember when he came out in 2013. So this was like 13 years ago. And he published an essay in Sports Illustrated. I remember this when he talked about his sexuality while still an active NBA player. And the decision opened the door that still remains closed. Like no other active NBA player has come out. He came out in 2013. 13 years later, no one else in the NBA has come out. Now you got players playing for basketball team with different color nails. Not saying that they're gay, not saying any of them are, but doing all types of different things that are more queer adjacent, right? But nobody asks. Neither do they share. People say, why does it matter? Because if you create a culture where we don't see increased visibility and representation, people begin to other folks. The more people that say me too, the more people that say so am I, the more folks can normalize people and less othering. Because then people realize that there's so much more in common. But when we treat things like they're anecdotal or singular, then it makes it easier for people to target people. And Jason Collins lived a life in which he understood that. Even if it wasn't in his league or his sport, he created a culture that had those conversations more directly so people could not keep treating it like a myth. And what's so funny is that a lot of straight guys will say, oh, there ain't no gay players, ain't no this, there ain't no that. But then they're the same ones that will turn around and go, oh, I know this person. I heard this, I heard that. So it's like they'll talk amongst themselves, that locker room talk. but publicly will put on persona and say they don't know anybody. So it's just still a stigma that needs to be eradicated. So I want to say that. Thinking about this situation, because I want to get to this other media thing, but I want to talk about this AP Swatch situation, this switch shit with this watch called the Swatch or whatever they're calling it. I don't know what's going on, but in Philadelphia, KOP was rampant. Like, was long ass lines. People was fighting and cutting up at the King of Prussia Mall for this damn watch. I never heard of it before, but I don't even know I don't understand what the big deal is about the watch, but people have been going crazy. I mean, like, listen, if you're a ball out there and want to get me one, let me know. But there is this AP, which is Amar's Piguet with Swatch, this Royal Pop collection. This watch is like $400 and it's driving fans crazy. I don't even understand what's the big deal about it, but I guess it's this Royal Pop collection. This is this collaboration, and it's with this elite brand. It reimagines traditional pocket watch design, blending these colors. It's like $400 apparently. They're like from $400 to $420, which makes it a very accessible entry point for someone to buy one of these things, because AP is a very like expensive watch brand, but because they're collaborating with this other group, this is how people can get their hands on it. But I mean, there's been crazy collab. There's lots of crowds. Police are coming. KOP is not even selling the watch now. They're like, no, we don't have it. Don't come. We don't have it. Like, go away. People don't want to buy it. It was that much. It was so many people in line going chaotic that they had to close the mall down. Like, they've had to shut stores because of the crowds. So people will go to the mall if you have something. People will go to the mall. Like, AP is bigger, more high tier than Rolex. So I guess that's what I want for Christmas. I want an AP Swatch. That's what I want. Give me one of these. Maybe I already got one. I ain't told y'all. Maybe I already got one. I'm just teasing. Maybe I'm going to pull one out and stunt on y'all in next month. Let me shut up. Let me be quiet before y'all come to my house and rob me. No, I'm joking. No, but this watch is a big deal. A lot of people are hype about it. I'll put it like this. If I had one, I ain't going to tell nobody. I might try to put it on eBay or something. Let me see how much y'all want. $400? Let's make that $1,000. $4,000. Let me stop. But no, people really want this watch. And I think it's because AP is very like iconic. So the collab is what got people going crazy. Because I don't even think you can even get it online. Like, people want to go. This like Royal Pop collection got the girls going crazy. They got different colors. I'm looking at the colors. The colors are nice. Oh, this Orange Hachi Ocho Negro. Now why I gotta be Ocho Negro? I mean, I guess it's black. Laba. The OTG Roz. I like that. It's like a pink color. These are cute. They got like 2, 4, 6, 8. They got like 8 different designs and colors. It's cute. I just don't understand why people are losing their mind. But, there's always a new sensation. There's always a new thing that people are obsessed. I feel like every year there's like that new device or something. Thank God it's not Apple. Can we have a moment of appreciation for Apple products? Can we? Like, that is not Apple. Because normally it's always Apple that takes over the conversation. But I think, I'm thinking about this other toy that everybody was popping about. Oh yes, La Boo Boo. This reminds me of La Boo Boo craze. When everybody won a La Boo Boo or whatever it was called. Like, I remember people was like really obsessed over La Boo Boos. Like, I remember that was like a year or so ago, and like everyone was like pack lines. I feel like this new La Boo Boo of 2026, like the new obsession, the new Popeyes chicken sandwich. I think that's what it's giving. Hopefully, we see lines like that at the polls on Tuesday. I doubt it, but one can hope, right? And then lastly on this, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I'm sorry. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. You see how I did that? Like the voice of audio narration. Like how the way in which a person can enunciate something can change the way you feel about it. So, Dr. Parks, Dr. Footman, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Big difference. The two I named previously, yeah, legit. The former name may not be legit. And this is important because I made a joke at the PABJ Professional Awards because Dr. Robin Smith, who is a actual therapist, this woman, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, is a life coach, claims to be a doctor of psychology, a spiritual mentor, you know, whatever that means. She's 43, she'll be 44. She's a Virgo. Bless her heart. But she has tried to make herself this whole expert, and it's coming out that she may not even have she can't even verify her actual doctorate. She's built a whole brand talking about how she's this doctor and this therapist and all this shit. But now there's questions on whether or not she really is. And she's acting like she don't got anything to prove to anyone. She's got this attitude about it, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, I don't know, girl. Like, where did this degree come from? And what's going on? And she's saying, fuck it, she's sticking with the truth. It's like, nah, that ain't slipping. And this is the thing though. Like, how did someone like this get around town using this title, saying all this stuff, and no one could verify this? Like these credentials? She says, I'm not going to prove anything to anybody. She says she won't prove anything. I mean, this is suspected scammery. This is alleged scammery. People are talking about it, right? She got this new book out, and the internet is in shambles. But it just has you going to say to yourself, why did anyone ask? I didn't know. I didn't really pay much attention to her. I didn't really know much about her. But I'm just thinking to myself, all of these journalists, all these people that brought her into the room, nobody ever took a step back to say, where did she actually get this degree from? But then it'd be elitist for someone like me to say, I never heard of this school. And then she's now deflecting. Now it's, my obedience is to God, not to people. I'm sorry, but if you're going to walk around here acting like you're a licensed certified expert, but then you saying you're not using your license anymore, you're still practicing, like the lack of ethics here is baffling. But this is what happens when you allow colorism and bias, and you let colorism and bias come in the conversation. It's like, you know, it's very telling to me. That's all I'm gonna say. It's very telling, in more ways than one. And I tell people all the time, you know, um, you gotta be mindful about what you out here promoting. And it's wild because we're in this era now where people are unapologetically committed to lying. Like there are people that are committed to lying. Like this woman is okay with not having her shit together, like not having her credentials. She's like, okay, and like she don't even care that people are like questioning her now and saying, yo, this ain't you may not have it. Because there's a level of people that are now become stands of hers, they're gonna still follow her. And she can walk around and say doctor all on her shit and just keep that holding on to that lie. All I know is this is colorism at play. This is, the bias of attraction. She's conventionally attractive to people. Because if this woman looked different, if she was much older, if she had a different look, I think the conversation would be a lot different. But the fact that I know that there are going to be people that's going to still validate her because they just want to, because they just like her. When you're a respected educator or professional in the field, asking, confirming, like, how are you running around here telling people you got receipts and you're trying to give people advice and you can't even have any self-accountability and transparency about what you got going on? That's very telling to me. That's very telling me. That's a red flag, in my opinion. So, politics, scammery, potentially. I mean, at this point, she can't even get mad people say that because her refusal to provide the receipts is, to me, very deafening, in my opinion. Very, very much so. So, yeah, we're mm, 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 mm. I just, there was a time where doing something like that would be a non-negotiable. Like, people would easily say you're canceled. And there are people that are delusional enough to still stand by her. So, it is what it is. So, this week in local politics, there has been a lot going on, which is an understatement. But as we get to the next 24 hours, there's a lot going on in politics that I have had to take a moment of reflection because, one, let's get into this Pennsylvania Supreme Court judge who just left abruptly. He didn't leave the Supreme Court, but he was a Democrat who decided at the last minute that he wanted to change his position as independent. And this has gotten a lot of news. He has left the Democratic Party, calling it anti-Jewish. This is the Pennsylvania Supreme Court Justice, David Wetch, who announced last week that he was leaving the Democratic Party, citing, quote, hateful anti-Jewish invective and actions. Quote, I can no longer abide by this, so I won't. I am no longer registered within any political party, he said in a statement, which was in reference to a Senate candidate named Graham Plattner of Maine. He was referring to him. He was referring to pro-Palestinian protests, quote, attacks at synagogues and anti-Semitic rhetoric that he alleges party figures have engaged in. He's 63 years old and was the first elected to the state's high court as a Democrat in 2015 and won a 10-year term last year. So he's going to be there for at least the next 10 years. And he just got reelected. So Pennsylvania's Supreme Court justices, they get 10-year terms. And then they're up for reinstatement or possible reelection every 10 years. So they have term. There's like no term limits, but they have to rerun. And, he'll have to run for reelection every 10 years. And so he just got elected last year. So it's very interesting that he decided to become independent right after that, because there were around $14 million that was spent on trying to keep him and two other Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices that are Democrats in office in the Supreme Court. And now he is weakening their majority by becoming independent. I have so many thoughts. One, I just don't understand why he's making there's a Republican far right talking point within conservative spaces that have tried to push rhetoric that the Democratic Party is somehow anti-Semitic and more anti-Semitic because of some leftists and some progressives, quote unquote, who have taken this issue around Israel. But this conflation around Israel and people being critical of Israel as being anti-Semitic is this very questionable to me, because the Democratic Party as a whole has not taken any in my opinion, notable progressive stances that have been super critical in Israel. There's been individual Democrats who have done such, right? But the Democratic Party has been criticized largely. I mean, that's the reason why folks weren't necessarily supporting Biden and Kamala Harris. Like, I don't understand. Like, the very Democratic Institute, I mean, in this Commonwealth, Governor Josh Shapiro isn't reflective of these strong anti-Israel critiques that, let's be clear, are not necessarily conflated with anti-Semitism. But I just don't understand, like, why now? Because last year, the same issues were coming up. Or did you just wait to get reelected? Then once you secured your seat, then you decide to play this. I think this is more of a political move. I don't really believe him. I also don't understand why, as a Supreme Court justice for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you are not making decisions based on political affiliations. Like, how does your politics influence your vote? Technically, it's not supposed to. I mean, clearly, we see with the U.S. Supreme Court, that's another story, but I just don't understand this decision. Because what it feels like to me is that he's about to make some very interesting decisions, and he's going to retire. He's not going to run for re-election, and more will be here. So that's my initial thoughts. I just find it to be questionable decision and timing, and that's where I'm at with it personally. So I'm just keeping my eyes and ears open on that. City Council is been in the news. They're going hard against Waymo, which is that automatic car share service, ride share service that drives people around automatically without an actual driver in the car. They want more regulation of that. They think that is risky. They have their concerns. I don't know where this is all of a sudden coming from, but I won't be in a Waymo. Like, I personally will not be riding any automatic car. I don't find it safe. I don't trust it. I don't like it. That's too much. I don't play with cars. Like, could you imagine putting yourself, like, that's a risky ass ride. Are those rides less than Uber rides or something? Like, I don't know why anyone would ride that. They think that's cool. Like, what? Because you don't want somebody flirting with you? Is this going to limit liability? You know, no harassment complaints because it's not an actual person in the car. I don't know. I just think that's a little too futuristic for my taste. I don't trust it. I'm not riding one. And I've seen people, a lot of people in LA are doing it. Like, it's a thing in LA. I know there's a couple, I guess, in Philly now. I'm not hopping in that. You won't catch me riding in that. That's just riding dirty to me. Because if anything happened, I mean, road rage, like, humans are driving other cars. And so you might want to stick with the script, right? But most people don't stick to the script. Like, most drivers don't. How do they interact with a driver who doesn't do the right move? Like, you might be fucked. I'm not risking it. So, city council is bucking at it. This is a smart move for them. I do think they should look into that. I mean, there has been some pushback on both sides, but I'm here for that. I'm not a fan of Waymo. I don't trust it. Nah, it's not for me. Which also brings up another interesting thing, is that the Philadelphia Foundation of Teachers, PFT, the teachers union, the big one in the city, they said there is not enough data to support shutting a single Philadelphia school. Okay. I'll say this. Okay, there's not enough data, or is there common sense? This might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't even know if that's the way to say this. I want to be very clear. I don't think that all 17 schools should have been closed. But I also don't think that none of the schools should have been closed, if that makes sense. I've been looking at these schools. I've been following this issue. There are a lot of schools in Philadelphia that are not getting full admission enrollment. These buildings are huge. These buildings have a lot of upkeep. It costs the city millions of dollars a year to upkeep these schools. These schools are having low populations, even though they're supposed to fit more students. The city's population has decreased. A lot of students in Philadelphia, while they might have parents that work in the city, they're not putting their kids in these public schools anymore. A lot of them are going to charter schools, magnet schools, private schools, all type of different alternative learning. They're not going to the public schools that they used to. Now, that being said, there are some schools that I do think have shown progress. I think should not be closed down. But there are some that the numbers don't match all the occupancy. So, for example, it's like being on of a restaurant. You got this big old restaurant. Let's say you got Borromini, right? Borromini fits, 200 people or whatever in that damn place. Let's say that every night Borromini was only having 25 diners. And they did that for 6 months. It's time to close down. You cannot have a restaurant like Borromini that costs $20 million to make, that can fit upwards of 200 something people in that restaurant, and every night you get about maybe 25 people. That's not a good look. 25 tables, that's not a good look. That's a flop. And so I do think that metaphorically, there are schools that are flopping. It's not to say the teachers are not good. It's not to say that, education don't matter, but it's just that these buildings are too damn big. When these schools were built many years ago, there was a different population, a different level of engagement. And now the numbers are diminishing and declining in a way that you can't justify the city spending all that money in the school district to do that. So these schools need to consolidate. Some of them need to close down. It is what it is, and I do believe that. However, I don't think all 17 should have closed down. I definitely think there are some schools like, I forget how to pronounce it, like Lenupwe, that should have stayed open, that had potential. I think there's other schools that definitely making progress. And I think the school district, because they were playing politics financially, I think they did say, you know what, cut a little bit more, cut a little extra. And there were some schools they saved at the very, very beginning before the chopping block. But I just take issue with that personally. And yeah, it's not a good look. I think that it's one of those situations where it should never been an all or nothing. It should have been something. And that's what I tell people, that in politics, sometimes, there got to be some meeting people in the middle. And I think that's why this was so brutal. I don't think the city council would ever came so hard on them if there would have been some negotiation. But the fact that they stuck with that plan, reckless. Which brings me to the tax argument, right? So there's been some new news that Uber has proposed a new plan, a new alternative, which is that they are proposing that there is an increase on the rideshare tax that is already in the city. So the city already has a rideshare tax. And they're proposing to increase that percentage number as a percentage rather than this $1. So they want to increase the percentage of the rideshare tax that's already in place. Because if the city decides to do this new rideshare tax, this is two. There's already one in the system that's already generating some millions for the school district. I mean, not buku tons of money, but there's some millions, but not mega millions, right? No double digits. But they're saying increase the percentage that's already in play to generate the revenue so that there could be a more streamlined approach to taxing folks. So this $1 per ride, there's a level of uniformity that is problematic about this. So if I do a Uber ride that's 20 minutes long, right, I'm going to be charged $1. But if I do an Uber ride that is only 5 minutes, I'm still being charged $1. Like, that just seems off. And so people who are taking quicker trips, that, hey, might have a situation. They might have sprained their ankle or might have an emergency. They're still being hit with this. This is very excessive. And so there is a fight right now, and there is an argument. Now, the park administration has said they're not settling. They're not doing that. They're not buckling on that. They're not entertaining that tax at all. Some folks have said, that to take the issue to Harrisburg and have them decide on it will be a fight with the Republican, in the Senate. The House the majority is the Democrats. They'll clearly be more cooperative, but the Senate is majority Republican. They're not going to be in favor of this because they don't really like taxes. So, well, shit, I don't like taxes either, and I'm not a Republican, but they don't want this. So that's a fight. That's going to be an interesting fight. that's going to really cause some problems, some hiccups. So yeah, that's not going to be it at all. Now, another big thing I would say, given everything that's happening, is that there's some legal concerns. There's a strong possibility that, there's a strong possibility that if this tax from the park administration goes through city council votes for it, Uber's going to sue them. And what's even messier is that they've reclaimed an attorney. And that attorney is the former Solicitor General for the city of Philadelphia, Marcel Pratt. Yes, Marcel Pratt was the city solicitor in the Kennedy administration. They have now retained him as legal counsel in the event that this shit goes south. That's a power play right there. Because what that means is that this guy knows the city law system. He knows the rules. He knows the charter. He knows that shit. And so somebody who used to defend the city is now could potentially be suing and going up against the city and really challenging those laws. That is a power play. Because what that signals is that there are some legal questions. And even the park administration must know that. They've been trying to say things in the hearings to cover their bases, but there's questions about whether or not they can even do this. So even if this passes through city council, it still may not happen based on the legal situation, the legal ramifications. I don't really know personally what that could be. I haven't spoken to the lawyers, anything yet, because that's a big one. Yeah. So I don't know. I can't say who's going to win or right in that, but it is a real legal question whether or not they can be able to pull that off. And honestly, it's just a matter of seeing whether city council is going to really do it, though. Because for me, that's going to be the real question. Will city council actually stick to their laurels? Because I definitely don't trust it. City council might get chicken feet at the last minute. It's very, if they vote for this Uber tax, they don't want to. Let me be very clear. They don't want to. I know they don't want to be in this rock and this hard place, and they hate that either way, right? It's like we're going to either tax more people or we're going to fund our schools. Either way, I think most people are in favor of, I don't think they want the taxes, to be honest. I don't think they want the taxes. But this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. And I think that moments like that can be very challenging. Stuff like that can be very challenging. So those are the things that I navigate. And but I don't know. It's up in the air. We'll find out very soon. We find out very soon how that's going to play out. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued. But I told everybody there's always going to be these political spins and turns until we get to the bottom of it. So yeah. Also, before we get into Ask Ernest, which I know the part you all have been waiting for, which we're going to get to that in a minute, but you all hit me up about these scammers, alleged scammers. Greg Big Business Parker and Danielle Morris. Oh, they've been in the news. They've been in the news, and that name, doesn't really surprise me, because I am going to read you all what came from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Okay? This is coming out of Cleveland. Couple indicted for real estate investment scam operating as a Ponzi scheme. A New Jersey couple has been indicted for allegedly running an investment scam that took investors' money with a promise to receive high returns on the development of real estate properties, mostly in the Cleveland area. The scam operated as a Ponzi scheme, with victims being misled and lied to, and some early investors paid with funds from later investors. Victims asked to contact the FBI. Okay. A federal grand jury returned an indictment charging Gregory, age 50, and Danielle Parker, 50 as well, of New Jersey with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and wire fraud. Okay? Conspiracy to commit wire fraud and wire fraud, okay? According to the allegations in the 65-page indictment, the married couple carried out the real estate investment scheme between January 2017 and December 2023. Victims were led to believe they were purchasing properties, mostly located in Cleveland and East Cleveland, to be developed into multi-family dwellings that would generate above-market returns from retail income. However, the Parkers instead took the investors' money and used it to repay earlier investors and fund their own lavish lifestyle. Investigators learned that the Parkers hosted seminars throughout New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, including one held at the Cleveland Hyatt Regency in May 2022. Potential victim investors were then identified from among the seminar attendees. People were enticed to attend the seminars after seeing the Parkers' luxurious lifestyle depicted on a social media platform. Some videos featured Gregory Parker flying in a private jet, driving a Mercedes Maybach, or vacationing in the Bahamas. They also shared video announcements for upcoming seminars with titles such as Rolling with the Parkers, Greg Parker Presents, Big Business minus the business suit, and Year of the Millionaire Tour. In one video, the Parkers were observed driving a Lamborghini to promote an upcoming seminar entitled The Road to Financial Freedom. Victim investors were typically charged $2,000 to $5,000 to enroll in the Parkers' real estate investment and mentorship program. Then the couple would purportedly obtain a single family or multi-unit rental property on the victim's behalf in exchange for an agreed upon down payment. Victims received very little information about the properties they believed they had purchased. When they contacted the Parkers to ask questions or complain, the Parkers' responses were often delayed or consisted of runaround excuses. Investigators found that some victims never received the property, or they received a property without a clear title. Others received a condemned, dilapidated, or otherwise uninhabitable property, and they were forced to sell or attempt to sell the property they did receive at a loss. While the indictment focuses on 13 victims, investigators believe there are more. If you believe you were a victim in this matter, please contact the Cleveland FBI at parkerinvestortips@fbi.gov with Parker Investor in the subject line. I repeat, Parker Investor Tips @fbi.gov with Parker Investor in the subject line. If convicted, each defendant's sentence will be determined by the court after a review of factors unique to the case, including prior criminal records, if any, roles in the offense, and the characteristics of the violations. The investigation leading to the indictment was led by the FBI Cleveland Division. Assistant United States Attorney Megan R. Miller for the Northern District of Ohio is leading the prosecution. Any indictment is merely an allegation. All defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. I had to read that, y'all. It was too juicy. I couldn't even ad-lib that. Now, that shit is serious. I seen them. Remember I told you about these scams or these suspicious behavior. They haven't been criminally convicted. They've been indicted. So they're innocent until proven guilty. However, victims have claimed that they feel like they have been scammed. And this has been something I heard about during the pandemic. There were several other folks that were, hanging out in these circles, in this influencer circle, people have alleged Nehemiah Davis allegedly was in these types of business ordeals, and that it's only a matter of time, allegedly, for people who were doing those types of things. I said this shit during the pandemic. People called me a hater. People said I was hating. People said, shut up, Ernest. I said, okay, wait and see. Now, here we are years later, all these folks on this Instagram, all that TikTok flashing all that shit, acting like they were rich and all this money. I said, this shit don't look right. This this is a little weird. Where's this development? What's going on? And all these, I remember, was it Gilly the Kid and all them promoting that shit on social media, telling people in the community go to this shit. What do they got to say now? What do they got to say now? They were using their platforms, pimping our own people, scamming our own people in our own community. In New Jersey and Delaware, in Pennsylvania and places like that. Like, they were doing them seminars around here. I know folks that was going. I told several people I know who hit me up, telling me, oh my God, I got scammed. I did this. I don't trust it. And I told some of these folks, don't do it. That fast money and that easy money ain't good money. Everything, all money, not good money, I said to them. And then when they got played, some of them are hiding in shame. Some of them just said they're going to charge you to the game. I'm like, that's $5,000. Some folks really drank the Kool-Aid because they believed it. They saw these successful black men that wasn't in business suits selling them a dream, coming from the places they come from, thinking these people are relatable. And now look what's happened. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. But I hope justice will be served, and we will be following that case, okay? So y'all stay tuned. Now, I'm telling y'all right now, one of the big things that I have noticed, and this gets me to this week's Ask Ernest. Y'all want to know what I think about this election, who I think is going to win, yada, yada, yada. All right. Before I begin that, I had Ryan Boyer on my show. Now, this is the building trades business manager, the big labor boss, Ryan Boyer. He's my special guest on the most recent episode of On the Record with Ernest Owens on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, Progressive Black Talk Media, Word Radio. So you can listen to the episode, link in the bio. If you follow me on Threads on Instagram, it's there. If you follow Word on SoundCloud, you can see the playlist. This episode is available for you all to listen to. It is spicy. It was good. It was a great show. It was a very good interview. We talked about a lot of different things. Some of those things I'm going to keep in mind. For starters, Ryan Boyer gave me the confirmed tea that I already knew, but gave me more insight. That 20-year tax abatement that will be benefiting developers who decide to take over government buildings, including those closed schools that were previous. Harrisburg has already gave them the green light to do so. So all city council got to do is create the law, create the policy, vote for it. And the Mayor Parker wants to do this, and this will really continue her pursuit of her home initiative, because apparently this abatement, whatever this abatement might be, if it can be 10 years, 20 years, or whatever. I've heard 20 years, which is crazy. We've never seen 20-year abatements in Philly. Not in recent memory. Normally it's a 10-year tax abatement, but this could be the 20-year abatement. This would benefit these developers who are going to want to purchase these abandoned buildings that's been around, that the city has to pay. There's no money being generated. This is a part of the park administration's way to turn a lot of these buildings into revenue that will benefit the school district and benefit the city. And this is a part of that. So this proposal is here. City council has not yet talked about it publicly. They don't want to talk about it right now with all the controversy. But I don't work on their schedule. I work on my own schedule. So we're talking about it, because I'm going to tell y'all right now, this upcoming fall, this will be coming to the table in the fall. Ryan Boyer has already spoken on it. He's already said he supports it. He's already saying that he's going to be pushing this, and it's the building trades. If y'all know the power of this man, that means this is going to be a thing. It's already been discussed. I know everybody city council members want to shush this up because they want to deal with one thing at a time. Nah, let's talk about it now, because Philadelphians need to know what's about to happen. And it's about to happen. So it's out there. He revealed it, confirmed it more so. I hinted at it a couple of weeks ago, but I'm here to tell y'all the conversation's continuing. Now, let's get into his show, his presence on my show as a guest. He was a great guest. We talked about the elections. There's been some weird things happening. Chris Johnson, who I talked about a couple of weeks ago, was the guy who I would call the consensus candidate. He got the endorsement of Mayor Sherrell Parker, Chris Rabb, The Working Families Party, the Democratic Party, everybody got behind this guy. And I think this was like almost like an olive branch in the Northwest because he's running for the 200th legislative district seat. And this is the state legislative district seat. This is the 200th seat that is currently occupied by Chris Rabb. Chris Rabb, of course, is not running for re-election, which means that when this seat goes, when his term will expire at the end of this year, which means there'll be a new state rep. Well, there's 3 people running for that seat, and Chris Johnson is one of them. I would have assumed that he was a front runner because with all those endorsements, the name, the visibility, all the people behind him on both sides of the political Democratic arena, this guy seems like a shoo-in. Well, it's gotten a little messy now because this weekend, Chris Rabb had AOC come out and endorse him at a rally, and Chris Johnson showed up at this rally, spoke, rallied behind Chris Rabb, and has now been linked with him. I mean, he's been speaking on podiums. He's been basically campaigning for Chris Rabb, which is messy work, nasty work, because the way in which I have heard from close sources, there was an expectation by many people that was endorsing him that he wasn't going to get involved in this congressional race. Number one, he's not an incumbent. He's a first-time candidate. So there was a mindset that, hey, don't get in that race. This race is very divisive. No one was asking him or expecting him to endorse Sharif Street because that's who the party's endorsing. But, there was expectations that, hey, focus on your race, do that. He did not do that. And there are some Democrats that are not progressives, moderates, some centrists, whatever, that have a little bit of endorsement remorse and frustration. Ryan Boyer literally said he thought it was very interesting is how he described it, and even said and went forth to say that Chris has made an enemy, a forever enemy, out of Sherelle Parker for that, because there's a sense of betrayal there that, there is some strong animosity between Chris Rabb and Mayor Sherelle Parker. If you think she got beef with me, child, she got bacon with me compared to Chris Rabb. That beef has been going on for a decade. She's wanted him unseated forever. She's never wanted him to have the seat that she previously had. She is the ward leader of one of the most powerful ward, one of the most higher voter turnout wards in Philadelphia. And she inherited that from Miriam Tasco. She became a state rep. And for her seat to be inherited by Chris Rabb, who is someone whose political ideology she does not align with, that has been one of her biggest frustrations. And the idea that he could potentially be a congressperson gives her nightmares, I personally believe. And so that's why she's been coming out strongly for Sharif Street. And, it's going to be an interesting election day. But Chris Johnson's decision is ridiculous, quite frankly, in my opinion. I think it's ridiculous. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a right to support who he's going to support, right? But I feel like if you're going to make a deal with all these different players politically, honor the code, honor it, like respect, like run your race, dude. You're new. Like if it was an incumbent and you already had your affiliations, then don't ask for the mayor's endorsement. But to turn around and ask for the mayor's endorsement when really, she's an interesting mayor. Sherelle Parker is different from Kenny. Kenny didn't really get into these local races like that. He didn't really do all of that. So for Sherelle to be, yielding her political power to support a newcomer, and this newcomer who's young, I mean, he's in his early 30s, for him to come and do something like that, I just think it's just poor etiquette. And I also think it's kind of messed up because it's misleading. She would have never endorsed him if she thought that he was going to endorse Chris Rabb. Granted, Chris Rabb endorsed him. But if everybody knew that he was going to endorse Chris Rabb, I know the party was not going to endorse him. And so I think that's kind of one of those like shady moves. Like you come in with it, you give people an impression that you're going to be a workaround guy, a consensus guy, and then you turn around and you pick a very loud and bold stance. If Chris Rabb does not win, I will tell you right now, Chris Johnson, if he wins, which there is a strong chance he'll still win, if Chris Rabb does not win, which there is a chance that he will not win, possibly, Chris Johnson, you in trouble. You in trouble. You in trouble, sir. You're in trouble. And it's even interesting because his brother is an alpha. He's in my fraternity. His brother's in my fraternity. His brother is also a minister who is married to Reverend Allen Waller's daughter. You heard that. He is the brother-in-law to Reverend Waller's daughter. And if y'all know who Reverend Allen Waller is, he is the pastor of Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church, which is the church that Mayor Cheryl Parker goes to. So this is very messy. And elections, those last couple of days can change everything. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But we'll see. Now to this congressional race. We are down to the final hours. Hours. Less than a day away before I got to cast my vote. Okay? I know who I'm voting for. I'm not going to share who I'm voting for on this podcast, but people can guess what they want to guess and assume what they want to assume. But I will say this about each of these people. There is a pathway of victory, I think, for two candidates. I will say this. I don't think Dr. Ayla Stanford is going to win. I think that is a fair prediction at this point. I don't think she is going to win. I think she's going to be a spoiler for one of the candidates. I don't know which one. I can't place my finger on it. But I think it's safe to say that she's not going to win. And it might be a little bit more of a sting if I say rightfully so. So I don't know if I want to say, well, listen, she has just not ran a good campaign. There has been a lot of drama. Some of it is not her fault, but a lot of it is her lack of clarity and transparency. And I think that has come to really harm her. I think that she really ran a very rookie campaign. There was too much growing pains. There was a lot of not listening. There were people on her team that she didn't listen to. And I can't share who and what and all those things. I'll save that for the special edition. But she did not listen to her team a lot of times. I think she just felt like she just knows everything. And when you have a candidate that's very stubborn and as some people would describe hard-headed, you find yourself in these situations where you're consistently having to look over your shoulder, look over your back. And it's a shame, but I think a lot of that has been an issue. I think that, there's been an issue. And it's gonna be a moment. It's gonna be a moment. There's something to be said about this entire situation, but that's how I feel. So it goes down to Sharif Street, State Senator Sharif Street, and State Representative Chris Rabb. Here's my thoughts on the path of victory for them two, for either one. With Chris Rabb is going to need to really secure the white vote. He's going to need to get a strong turnout from progressives and some moderates and some young voters potentially, right? He's going to really need to bring the people out. There is some good momentum for him because there is a lot of progressive interest in other seats and other races across the city. And that can, create an effect where he might be able to pick at some votes in some very crucial areas, like West Philadelphia, for example. West Philadelphia is very alive right now. And there is some interest there, right? Northwest is definitely up in the flow. He's going to have to really grab some votes to really make this work. The white vote got to white for him. He's going to have to get that white vote because he's going to struggle with the black vote. I don't think he's going to get the majority of the black vote by far. I think that he is going to really need the white vote to come out, and he's going to really need to pick at some pockets. Like there's going to have to be a very strong groundswell of progressives and some other folks that may be on the swinging more left to really show up in these areas. Because if they don't, and this is a sleepy race, that will be his weakness. But he's really going to need the white vote for his situation. I don't care what his campaign people are saying. I saw this with Helen Gim, child. Helen Gim could not get that black vote. They swore up and down all around it. Helen had this diverse coalition, baby. When them polls came out, them numbers came out, she didn't have the black vote, child. She lost. Rab is in a three-way race. He's not going to get the black vote. I think Ayla and Sharif Street are going to literally galvanize most of those votes. He's going to really have to need a strong white voter turnout for him. And he's going to have to really get them, but there's some concerns because that Jewish vote may not go in his favor. That's going to be hard. And there's a strong Jewish population of voters in this area. So that's going to be interesting. He's going to need to just make sure people show up to those polls because there is some groundswell interest. There are a lot of progressives running in committee seat positions all throughout this district, this congressional district. And I think with those people energized for their own personal seats, they're going to want to build momentum and they're going to need to get those votes because they're going to hope that those voters that show up for them will also show up for Rab. So there's going to be a ripple effect that needs to happen for him. If it don't happen, it will largely be because of the black vote, if the black vote's strong, which brings me to Sharif Street. Sharif Street is in a very interesting position, right? He's got the machine support, and I always say to people, in spite of everything, don't vote against that machine because in races like this could be very interesting, right? Sharif got name recognition. He's got the name recognition. I mean, he's a street. It's just he's got it. He's got the party endorsement. He's got some major political interests that are backing him heavy, right? So there is a level of investment there for him. What he's going to need is that he's going to need the black vote, and he's going to need a lot of the black vote to really pull him through. I know Ayla is losing some momentum, but it can't be that she holds on to so much. A lot of people think she's going to get black women voters. I don't necessarily know if I believe that all the way. I think that we really can't fall too much into the identity politics of it all. But I will say that he's going to really need to get out a large number of black voters. Senior citizens, elder voters, the young voters aren't showing up like they normally do in the ways that they should. And I don't think they even will from Rab's case. I think some of them are not going to be as heavy voting numbers as they should. So he's going to really need to get that Gen Xer, black Gen Xer boomer vote. He's going to need to get a large groundswell of that. He's going to have to get the boomers. He's going to have to get the grandmas. He's going to have to get those senior citizens. He's going to have to get people in this age bracket. All of them are Gen Xers. Rab, Dr. Stanford, and Street are. But he's going to need to get those boomers, and he's going to need to get those Gen Xers. And I think that's going to be his biggest strength. He's going to have to lean on. I don't think he's going to get much of the white vote. He might get some of the Jewish vote. Some of that will help him. But I really think he's going to have to need it because this is a very black congressional district. This district is very black. And so the black vote is going to be very crucial. But in a three-way race, if somebody locks in 70% of the white vote and they split the black vote between Ayla and Street evenly, Rab is going to have an advantage there because it's too, we got to figure out who's going to be the spoiler. So it's going to be really between, I think, Street and Rab. I really think there is a lot, I think there's a lot of people putting a lot of hype on these endorsements. And I will say that in my gut, some of this feels like Helen Gim. I feel like Rab is kind of running a Helen Gim type of race. Except I will say there's been more on the ground coalition building than Helen, but I don't know how to place it. I just feel like there is a level of disingenuousness in the people working and doing the work in these towns. Like I'm looking at these people, I'm like, are you from here? Do you live in this congressional district? There's a lot of that energy where I don't really know if a lot of these volunteers and people are actually going to be able to vote for him. Like, I don't even know if they actually live in the congressional district. And there's so many of them that are like going from campaign to campaign, like supporting Chris Johnson, supporting Sierra McNeil, who I think has a really great chance of winning her race. And so I don't really know if this is really a reflection. I don't know if this is a mirage. I don't know. I struggle with that reality. I don't know if there's enough of them to put up a real fight with Rab's team. I think Street, there is a level of momentum that is silent coming from him because I do think people are getting a little scared about Ayla. And I think some people are worried that if they give their vote to Ayla, they might be wasting it. Because here's the thing I know. Anyone who's not voting for Ayla is not going to vote for Chris Rab.
they're either going to vote for Sharif Street or they're going to vote for Ayla. And so if Sharif can be able to really convert a lot of these worried Dr. Ayla Stanford voters to his coalition, I think he'll win. I think he will defeat Rab. But it's only a matter of time if that's going to happen. Because there's some voters that are sticking with her beside, regardless, right? I mean, look, unions have come out heavy for Sharif Street. You cannot underestimate in Philadelphia unions in the Democratic Party machine. In some cases, I'm like, why is this even a guess? Isn't this like there's a, I'm not going to hold y'all. There's a part of me in my gut that's telling me, was this just always going to be Sharif's all along? Were we overthinking this shit? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be suspenseful. But there's a part of me that's like, I don't know. I should, this is Philadelphia. This is not New York City. Everybody, there's a lot, and you can get caught up in that national press and they'll say it's a Mondani moment, but I know fucking Philadelphia. I know this city. And as much as we like to put on the hype that we gonna do something radical, I have caution. This is a very interesting political time. And following the heels of Trump, I can see voters getting frustrated and making what I call that Krasner move. You got to notice the pattern, y'all, and I do notice it, that after a Trump presidency, there typically is a massive wave of progressive votes and energy that goes in a very left direction. And we saw that in 2017, right after Trump got inaugurated and got elected, the squad came and the squad was born off of that. Philadelphia, we're waiting, right? We're waiting for our moment. Like, how are we going to show up in a left way as a reaction to Trump? And so some people could argue, right, that in these moments, right, we don't see it with Biden, because you know what happened when Biden got elected. When Biden got elected, we saw everybody regressing back to more centrist, moderate politics. That's what happens when a Democrat gets elected. So if y'all remember when Biden got elected, that's how Eric Adams ended up getting elected. Sherrod Parker got elected. You start seeing more centrist people get elected. Squad members lost their seats. Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush. We saw when Democrats got elected to the presidency, things started going back more to the center. But when a conservative or a Trump, right, when he came back, the first time he got elected, we saw things go back left. I'm wondering, think about it with Mondani. The moment Trump got elected, if Trump would have not gotten elected, I don't think Mondani would have won. If Trump would have not gotten elected, Mondani would have not won. I don't think he would have. So I'm trying to figure out if this congressional race is going to be that decision, that the defining moment of progressive. Because let's be clear, working family parties candidates will win this election cycle. We will see some new state reps. I think Chris Johnson and Sierra McNeil have a very strong chance. And I think that's going to be a major win for the Working Families Party, because they will, for the first time, get two of their candidates to win in an election cycle. But they want the big guns. They want a congressional seat. They've already got in city council. They got 2 city council seats. They have gotten some seats, throughout the state house. But if they can get 2 new seats and get a congressional seat, it's going to be a big fucking deal. But I don't know if they're being too greedy. I don't know if they're doing too much. Maybe this is a little bit too much dip on the chip. Maybe the two state rep seats might be a nice introduction. And Rab did put up a fight. If he does lose, you can't deny put up a fight. So it will maybe they're going too strong. Maybe the real answer will be these city council races in 2027. I don't know. Or maybe the momentum and frustration of voters might say, you know what, I'm going to go in a different radical direction. But something in my gut just tells me, I don't know. I don't know if Philadelphia is all the way in. And maybe they might have been, but is it this candidate? Is it Rab himself? If it wasn't Rab, maybe if it was Kendra Brooks, maybe this will be a different conversation. I got to see. Because I will be looking at those results. I'm not only interested in seeing who's going to win, I'm interested in seeing how they win, because that tells me a lot about the state of 2027. My mind is that the moment this race is over, I'm already looking at what's going to happen in 2027. What happens on Tuesday will tell everybody what's going to happen in 2027 during the primaries. If Rab wins city council, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Because I will tell you right now, Ketsi Lozada, watch out. Cindy Bass, watch out. Mark Squilla, watch out. Those three are super vulnerable. There might be more, but those three are super vulnerable. I'm looking at large. Nina Ahmad, Jim Harity, y'all in trouble if Chris Grab wins. Y'all in trouble. Now, if Street wins, Sherelle is probably not going to have a formidable challenger. If Street wins, you're going to see more people run for at-large seats, but not so many district contenders. Working Family Party is going to have to regroup. There'll be some challenges. They're going to still go after Cindy. That race is still going to happen for Cindy, I believe. But they might have to replay the playbook in other races depending on what happens in those districts. They're going to have to look at those vote numbers. Because it's about money too, right? They can't put all these people up and not have the support. So they might they might regress on their ambitions based on what happens with rap. So that's kind of where my head is at. If Street wins, the party still got to go back to drawing board and recalibrate some things. But they can breathe a little bit better, though. If Street wins, they can breathe a little bit better. But that's all determines how close it is. Either way, I think one thing I feel the most confident in saying is that Dr. Stanford's going to lose. I think that is the one thing I'm willing to bet on. I think Stanford's going to lose. I think that is a real strong prediction. Oh, you're saying, Ernest, you're a Libra, make a decision on the scales. Okay. All guts, no glory. All guts, no glory. I'm only going to say it here on this podcast. If I had to make a decision right now who I think is going to win, I'm not talking about voting, I ain't making endorsements, but if I'm looking at the scale of things, I think Sharif might be able to clinch it. I think Sharif might be able to clinch it. I think he might be able to pull it off. But that's a cautious. I say that very cautiously. Because when I saw that Dr. Ayla Stanford got the endorsement of the Philadelphia Tribune, the oldest black newspaper in this area, the fact that they're still gunning for her in spite of everything, that speaks volumes. But what also makes me a little concerned about her is that the 314 Action Fund that has been in the news left and right, that's given a lot of money to Dr. Stanford. They have pulled their ads out of this week. They've pulled their TV ads. And speculation has been, as reported by the Philadelphia Inquirer, that they don't really think she has a chance of winning, and therefore they do not want to put their money towards her because they feel like she doesn't have a chance. They've given up on her. So this has gotten really sticky because the fact that she was the one of the first to go on TV. She was she was going on TV before everybody. Now everybody's on TV at this point, but now that they're pulling their ads away from her, that's saying a lot. So I definitely think the question becomes, is she going to be a spoiler? Is she going to ruin this for Rab or Sharif? Who is she going to spoil this for? Because one of them will be spoiled, and a lot of it will be because of her votes. I think that however people show up, are they wasting their votes on her? That's going to be the $1 million question people are going to have to figure out. But that is my Ask Ernest. That is my take. That is my stance. That is what I predict. That's what I see happening. Now, moving along to movies. The Michael biopic is back at #1 on the box office. And it's now 4th week. It's returned. It was 2 weeks of The Devil Wears Prada 2. Now it's back at #1. It is about to be the highest grossing music biopic of all time. It's about to succeed Bohemian Rhapsody. One of the worst biopics I've ever seen is now about to be one of the highest grossing music biopics of all time. Listen, one thing about 2026 is that taste is relative. But speaking of taste, The Odyssey is coming. It's coming in July. And there's already early, anticipation about this movie. It's gonna be long as hell. I'm gonna watch it. Clearly, I'm gonna watch it. It's a Christopher Nolan film. You have to watch it. I mean, this man, his last film won Best Picture and Best Director. He's won several Academy Awards for that last film. You got to watch the next film by him. So, The Odyssey is definitely going to be in the Best Picture conversation. It's going to be an Oscar conversation. It is an early Oscar season moment, so we definitely got to watch it. And this year, we haven't seen that much Oscar conversation. I remember last year, we had more Oscar conversations. I felt like last year the conversations was very different. We had a different type of energy when it came to talking about these candidates and these candidates for Best Picture. Like, what was people talking about, right? We had a very different type of energy, and I feel like this time around, I don't know, it doesn't. The energy, we haven't seen much, and I'm personally curious about that. So we're gonna see how this plays out. Who's gonna win? What is this movie giving? Is it going to give Oscar worthy film or not? Is it going to give Oscar baity film or not? That's what we all want to see. So I'm following it. I hope a lot of you all are too. But it's gonna be fire. It's definitely gonna be fire. And I'm excited. I think Anne Hathaway, people are saying Anne Hathaway might have a chance, might have a chance, of getting a Best Supporting Actress nomination. She's already won the Oscar for that already. But we're going to see what happens there. But it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see if she'll be able to pull that off. But the film, I'm excited. People love a big Odyssey. People love a big Odyssey film. People love a big, epic, people love that kind of stuff. And so there's a really great chance that this can really take off in a certain type of way. There hasn't really been any big flashy films. Like around this time, remember Sinners came out last spring. Around this time, Sinners would have been the big talked about movie. So we're gonna see how this plays out. But yeah, I Love Boosters is coming very soon. Love the film, love the marketing campaign. I really love the marketing campaign. They gave out gas in LA as a way to promote this film. They were giving out gas in communities as a way to promote this film. Genius, timely. Keke Palmer, look, she has her moments, but they know how to read the room. They definitely know how to read the room. And so I am very curious to see how this film will go. I really like some of the stuff that I was seeing. I really liked some of the stuff that I was hearing. So it's going to be a very interesting cycle. It's going to be a very interesting movie campaign. This movie is directed by a legendary Boots Riley, who directed a very interesting film, a very weird film, but we love a weird film. But I Love Boosters is classic. Boots Riley directed this film, and Lakeith Stanfield is in it. Keke Palmer, Naomi Ackie, and Demi Moore. And this is the director of Sorry to Bother You. Sorry to Bother You was one of my favorite indie films that came out a couple years ago. Very, very interesting psychedelic film, and I was here for it. I really was here for it. And so I'm excited to see how this plays out. But yeah, I'm excited about this movie. I have some thoughts about something else that's been going on. And how do I say this? This music. Drake released 3 albums. We're going to talk about Drake. Chris Brown got his shit going on. Let me start by saying that Chris Brown has been getting his album dragged, as he should. As he should. He's been getting his album dragged, rightfully so. No one seems to like the album. Even the fans are beginning to struggle with this album, which is very telling. Because some fans were liking it. There was a lot of hype around it, and then it kind of got really weird. It got really weird. A lot of people kind of just start saying that they have some thoughts about it, and I was like, you know, it was. But I don't know. That Grammy moment that he thought he was going to have, I don't necessarily know if he's going to have that. I think people thought he was going to be super creative and super dope and yada yada yada. I don't think that's happening here with this guy. I don't think this album Brown is resonating like that. A lot of people say it's redundant. A lot of people say that it is kind of the same cycle of stuff. And I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out. But it's very telling. It's definitely very telling. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But to this situation, and this has been very telling. This has been very telling. Drake dropped 3 albums, 43 songs. I listened to it for research purposes. I can't get those hours back in my life. But I listened to it to be able to now look at everybody and tell everybody it's a snoozer. And I'm being fair. There is not that many songs. Like, Drake's not over it. He's not over it. And it's so obvious that this is a play to get the algorithm in his favor. It's very obvious that he did all these songs so he can get the algorithm. He wants the algorithm in his favor. He wants the attention. He wants the buzz. So I see where this is going. I see where it's at. And I'm at this point now where the fans are going to love it. And those who don't like him, there's no new ground, if that makes sense. There's no new ground. Like, normally, you'll say, look, an artist have taken some time, but he's in Never Never Land. You know what? That's what it is. Like, there is a Peter Pan complex, and he's been making references to Michael Jackson and comparing himself. Child, don't compete where you don't compare. You'll never be Michael Jackson. Go sit down. There is this element of Drake where he doesn't want to grow up. Like, I just feel like you're a grown-ass man. You're still having the same conversations. This man is closer to 40 than he is 30, and yet you would think he is about to turn 22. The same, like, squabbles. Like, there's so much going on in the world right now, and he has nothing to say about any of it. He makes a mockery of DJ Khaled, DJ Khaled, and him not speaking about Palestine. But it's like, but do you have anything to say about Palestine, Drake? Oh, no? Okay. And mind you, the album's not even political, to the point where he is out here the Trump administration is literally marketing his album, like promoting and making it and like referencing it. Like, Trump is doing that. But this is y'all God, though. This is the guy that y'all like, though. So, good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. And I mean that. Good luck with that. Because it's a very interesting situation, and we've seen so much of this happening, and yeah, so much, and I don't know. I think maybe I've grown up. I mean, maybe I've grown up for Drake music. My younger brother likes Drake, but I just know that it's a lot. My younger brother likes Drake. I don't know how he feels about this album. I don't know how he feels about this album, but I think, actually I do. I actually asked him. We had duck on for Sunday supper. He just seemed like he's phased out of Drake. I think, for a while he seemed like he was a Drake fan, but I think he's the older he's gotten, the more sophisticated he's gotten, the better his taste has been. He's growing up. We're all growing up, and Drake is just not growing up with us. So that's that. I really don't like talking about Nicki Minaj, but I got to address some of it. I wrote enough about her in my book. Ooh, my new book. Yeah. We talk about it. But Nicki, girl, what are you doing? I mean, what are you not doing? she's making her spin. She's trying to act. She's acting like it's the same playbook. The Democrats didn't listen to me. I felt pushed out, so that's why I decided to align myself with white supremacists. Like, girl, see, this is my issue. I don't even care to entertain the bullshit that she said because there's a lot of bullshit. Like, she's talking about Jay-Z. She's so obsessed with Jay-Z. Girl, bye. I think the issue, in my opinion, with these people is that, okay, if you're mad at the Democratic Party, I understand. I know people who have registered as independents, right? They're like, you know what? I don't want to align myself to the party. I'll vote for some Democrats in the general, but I can't subscribe. Understood, right? That's your prerogative. What I don't understand is how you can have all this contempt for the Democratic Party, which, granted, when I hear people read the Democratic Party, there's things that I'm like, yes, go ahead, go off, you right. But when you do that and then say, that's why I'm going for Trump. What? So this is what it sounds like, y'all. This is how these people sound like. Man, the Democrats, man, they ain't shit, man. They always using the black vote and taking the black vote for granted. Okay, I'm listening to you. Yeah, man, they always talking down to us. They always telling us to wait our turn. They always giving us the same okey doke shit, man. They don't know how to bust a grape in a fruit fight. Yeah. The Democrats, man, they don't got no moral background. They always with these Wall Street corporations. Yeah. They don't take a stand on shit, man. Yeah, man. They always thought the Republican Party problematic. Yep. And but honestly, man, with all these Democrats making me mad, I'm about to be Republican. Nah, homie, nah. What? Nah. You lost me. Now you gotta go away. Now how does that make sense? Everything you just said about the Democratic Party, you could say the same thing about the Republican Party, dude. Like, I could see if you were saying you want to be your own man and be independent, but like, what? Now I know it's some bullshit. Now I don't trust you. Because you done seen the racism within the Democratic Party, but then you done forgot it within the Republican Party? Like, Trump loud as hell. I don't even know if we got any flagrant, like, loud racists on that level. We might have them in the Democratic Party, but I'm just like, you done bypassed the lack of any diversity in Congress. I mean, who did you skip over? Rand Paul, Jordan, Jeff Jordan, Ron DeSantis, the South? Like, how many, Ted Cruz, like, how many of these people you forgot about in order to see yourself supporting them over a Democrat? The logic, not logic. So that's why Nikki's saying all this shit, and I'm just like, but I'm confused. You just say you need the money, girl. Look, we know that when Wayne sold the masters to your music and sold your catalog, you lost whatever future money and earnings you was gonna have. So now you going through it. Now you going through it. So it's gonna be very telling. It's gonna be very telling. So now to TV. This is a little complicated for me. This week is going to be a very interesting week, sad week in TV history. The finale, the season, honestly, the series finale of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta is going to be this Tuesday. And this is on election night. So I ain't even going to watch it on time. I don't even think, can I watch? No, I'm not going to watch it on time. I'm going to DVR it, but because I got election night. Y'all know I got election night, so I can't be playing like that. But I'm going to watch me some Love and Hip Hop, though, because it's going to be the finale. And it's a little bittersweet because I really feel like the way they're ending this season, I don't think they expected it to end just yet. I don't know. I do feel like, I will say this, these last two episodes to the grand finale, I do, because it was unexpected they canceled. I think some people thought they were gonna be like, this is our final season before the season. But that's not happening. They're gonna do like these 6 episodes that they're gonna do to like wrap everything up. And so we're gonna finally find out how this is gonna play. But it's gonna be very interesting how this play out either way. But I think that this is this show, like this season, I do feel like the last episode, the most recent episode before the finale, I do feel like the show was getting to a point, and this is what Mr. Johnson I was talking about because he's been watching with me this last season, that I do feel like it got a little redundant. Not the drama has gotten very redundant. So much that like even Sierra, the girl Sierra Gates, she's now engaged to a new guy. I think we're tired of her. Love me some Sierra, but this girl gets engaged every single year to a new dude. Like she's been getting engagement rings, like Thanos is getting, crystals. Like it's just so many rings. Like, girl, what is going on? Carly Red, she's been slowing down guys. She's been like staying single, but she's always in some chaos. But it's like the same thing. Bambi and, I'm tired of Scrappy going between baby mamas, bring a new girl in, dog, like crap on his ex-girlfriends, but then go through them, like go rotate them like musical chairs. Like he's now entertaining Bambi again after talking the most shit about her for like ever. I knew that's the love of his life. Everybody think it was Erica Dixon. It's not. It is Bambi. That's who he really wants to be with. He done spun the block on everybody else. Like, let it be. Rashida and Kirk, no matter what happens, they're going to stay with each other. He can do whatever he wants, and they're going to stay together. Jock and Kendra, like, Jock is always going to be somebody she's going to have to keep one eye open. I know she's smart. She might leave him, but I feel like they're just going to put up with each other. But I do have a sense that she might leave him because I feel like he's just, I don't know. He's just always that guy who just seems like he's always dancing on that line, and it's just too much with him. Mama D don't know how to mind her business. She needs to get a life outside of her son. I truly believe that. Yandy and Mendices, like, I'm happy they're not together anymore. It's obvious that Yandy is a grade A liar. I mean, she just seems to be that person that she's just the person that you just know everything that come out of her mouth. Yandy be lying, y'all. She just has always been a liar. Like it's just everything about her is always up for show. And to see her start from Love and Hip Hop franchise from the very beginning in New York to now at the very end of the season of this entire franchise, she's been one of the most consistent people. Like she was in New York and she's like the legacy of this entire franchise. Even though the king and queen is Kurt and Rashida, respectfully so, to see her start off chasing this man and to the very end, it gets to this bloody ending. Like it was nasty. Like to see how it ends, it's just like crazy. But I do think it's time for it to end. I will say I am ready for it to go. It's been many, many years. We've been 15 years with this series, this show. It's time. It's time. So, yeah, we're in for a treat. We're definitely in for a treat. So, Nemesis, I know you're gonna ask me, have I seen it? I did. It's alright. It's alright. Okay. I don't like 50 Cent. He's a piece of trash, but I can tell that 50 Cent did not have his hand as the executive producer of this. Courtney Kemp did. It's alright. I think the thing is with this show is that it feels like it gives borderline Tyler Perry, and it teeters on that. The acting is it's cool. It's a cool show. I mean, it's not my new addiction. I watch this. It's cool. It's nothing to like lose your mind over. There's a lot of predictability with it. I must say that. There's a lot of predictability. But it is what it is. It's okay. A lot of people kept wanting to know what I thought about it. It's not a bad show. It's not the best show ever, though. I just want to say that. Now, speaking of shows, though, Baddies USA Chapter 2 is back. I'm all in on Zeus, y'all. I'm all in. Bad Boys is back. The new season of Bad Boys. I'm into it. I'm watching. Baddies going wild. I'm into it. Yeah. I look. Zeus got me now. Like I have nothing to watch. I mean, Love and Hip Hop Miami is finishing up its season and then it's done. They still got a couple more episodes, but it's okay. Love and Hip Hop Miami is like the last franchise of the group. It's is strong because it outpaced Hollywood, which is impressive. Hollywood seems to be the weakest. Like the ranking for me is Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta is number 1. Love and Hip Hop, the original one, which is with New York, is number 2. Love and Hip Hop Miami is number 3, and Love and Hip Hop Hollywood is number 4. I will say the reason why Love and Hip Hop Hollywood is number 4 is because it didn't last as long as Miami. And Miami has lasted longest and stood the test of time. There are some really great star power on that show, but it is the more lighter of the drama for me. I feel like Atlanta just met the moment even more. So that's my ranking of those. But yeah, that's everything. This week, y'all, I'm looking forward to this election. I'm looking forward to this election being over. I'm looking forward to going to Baltimore to see Dr. Parks, to celebrate the new Dr. Amber Williams, to see Joe, to check them out. There's supposed to be some caviar involved in the mix. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting my ass back to Philly on Tuesday for the election. I'm going to be working these streets. Anything can happen. I'm outside. Looking forward to making this big, huge, appearance on CBS Philadelphia. I'm excited about that. We're going to be streaming. I'll send you all the link. It'll be out there. It's going to be everywhere. Stay tuned, okay? 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't beat me there. Meet me there. And as always, be well and be best.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.